Huh. Okay, there we go. Now I just need to mute that, get the address, go post it on the group page. Okay, I need to put a picture or something up there so it isn't just a blank slate. Let's see. So I will share screen and, well, just a minute. Need to get a picture first. Pictures. Okay, so anyway, on YouTube, if you're tuning into YouTube to the video, I'm just setting things up for the meeting. I'll put a picture up for you to study, something for you to study while I'm getting that done. And this is something that's pretty important and that we're going to talk about today after we do a hoof evaluation for Megan and whoever else wants one. And that is, we're going to talk about the soul. That's a pretty important subject. Obviously, people are always going, I either got soul or I haven't got soul, or they think their horse is sore because it's on its soul or it doesn't have very much soul, it's thin, things like that. And so we need to know the truth about the anatomy. And this is the big problem. This is the big problem, is that the understanding of the soul, its configuration, how it grows, what it's supposed to be, everything about the anatomy of the soul that your experts believe today is handed down from the first equine anatomist by the name of Charles Lefosse back in the 1750s. And so let's how much sense does this make? You got a person hundreds of years ago, they're the first to really study a subject, and they come up with some beliefs, and then we're just going to write down the beliefs of that one person, and then that's what we're going to go with. We're not going to do any science on top of that. And any science we do on top of that, we're going to arrange it so it all agrees with that. Well, that is what you got here. Okay, here we just a minute. I just found my thing I want to post. Okay. So nobody ever does anything to really study it or refute it. Instead, they all just believe it, and then because they've made one error, they have to make continual errors after that to explain stuff. And so that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how one error in anatomy leads to another and another and another until you have this whole system. Just a minute. So let me put this up here while I do this stuff so you can get an idea of what we're going to be discussing. So, and you want to ask yourself the question. Now I got to remember what it was. Ha! Okay, you got to ask yourself the question. How important is anatomy to the subject of hoof care? How important is it to have an exact, perfect understanding of this foot here and everything about it to the subject of hoof care? Okay, well, because off of what you believe, which is, by the way, called a doctrine, if you get into medicine or law or science, they still use that word, by the way. Okay, when we think about that word, we think, oh, doctrine, the church, or religion. No, when you get into higher learning and into academics, they still use that word. And all it means is it is a belief or a teaching. It can be a belief or teaching on anything that you consider is true. Okay, so when it comes to anatomy and the higher ups and getting educated and getting in the higher halls of learning, all right, they have, and law doctrine, they still use the word doctrine. Okay, they come up with an idea, they consider a truth or a rule or a law, and they call it a doctrine. So when it comes to anatomy, they've been studying for hundreds of years, whatever, and they have come to conclusions, and they call that a doctrine. And their doctrines are built on people that went before them. They have a foundation that they are building on from the people who first did the studies and come up with ideas. And if those ideas were not correct, then they wind up building on a false foundation, on a shaky foundation. Their very foundational knowledge is in error, and therefore everything they build on top of it will be in error. And so then everything they build on it will be in error. And then, see, you have this thing called doctrine and practice. Okay, so you have the doctrine determines what you do. The rule that they set forth, the doctrine, the truth, you could call it a fact. Okay, the rule that they set forth as truth, as a true fact, and the way it is, what it is, will determine what they do. Say, what they understand and determine about the anatomy of this foot will determine what they apply to it in many different ways. It will determine when they look at it as to whether they think it's correct or not, whether they think it's healthy or not. If it's not healthy and what's wrong with it, their belief, their doctrine, okay, will determine how they interpret what is wrong with that foot. So if their understanding of the anatomy, which is the rule, the law, see, anatomy is a law, just like gravity. Okay, our physical bodily anatomy, the way we are made, okay, understanding all the parts and how they work together, okay, this is all based on physical laws. The horse's foot, exactly how it is made, each part of the anatomy, how it works together, how it connects to the whole horse, and is used by the horse to function, the hoof capsule, everything, all of this stuff determines, having an accurate understanding of it determines how we are going to interpret and how we're going to treat it, how we're going to trim it, how we're going to shoe it, how we're going to take care of it, all of that. So if your understanding is false, in error, you made a mistake when you started out, and then everything you build on it after that is determined by that, then you're going to wind up practicing something that is not going to be conducive to the health, the well-being, and the truth of that object. So today, anyway, we're going to go into the history of why what you see here, this picture you see here, is one big fat lie. One lie based on another lie, based on another lie, based on another lie. Now, did they lie on purpose? Maybe. You know, maybe, maybe not. They're not lying on purpose now. Now they've inherited hundreds of years of error. And I will prove this beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay. All right. So that's what today, the primary teaching of today's hoof chat is going to be like. And this is something that every person that joins TAC needs to understand to the T. See? Now, I came out with this, what you see before you, because I just wanted to save my horse and understand my horse's foot and put it back together from the barefoot trims I was learning. But even before I learned that we were trimming the heels out of these horses, I learned about the sole, and it was quite by accident. Okay. Because I was just trying to understand the sole. I knew my horse was messed up. I didn't know that barefoot trimming was a bust. Okay. And that there were so many errors in it, and that I was actually being taught to trim my horse into unsoundness. I mean, here's the way why it's deceiving, because your horse's feet can be bad and you can do the barefoot trim and the foot will get better. But because you keep doing the same thing, which is actually a lot of times incorrect, then it will start going the other direction. Because see, this is what I found out, and you probably, a lot of you are finding this out too. Man, these feet stand in a place of there's a balance there, and they can go either way, you know, to wearing down the heels too much and shooting the toe forward, or wearing the toe too much and binding the foot that way, or whatever. There's a delicate balance. And why not? Is not anatomy a delicate balance? It sure is. All right. So, I have to post something on Facebook, and then first thing we're going to get into is we're going to get with Megan, and we're going to look at her horse's feet, and try and decide what's going on. And so what you need to know is, when I look at a horse's foot, or anybody in TAC that knows what we're going to teach today, and probably everybody needs a refresher course, because even though I have shared this and taught it, I've learned things since then that add to it that you need to have in your understanding. Because then you're going to understand why so many horses' feet are bad, and why the trim is destroying these horses' feet, because of the knowledge in the head of the person doing the trim is faulty. All right. So let's see here. Got too much stuff in my way. Hold on. And I'm going to go post this just a second here. Okay, get that out of the way. You know, so study this thing. Can you see it, by the way? Do I have that share up correctly?
Yeah, it's up.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Do 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 do. All right. Got to find a group. I'm having a hard time. Here we go. Come on. Computer decides it's going to be slow.
Oh, what a live meeting with Linda Harris. Oh, that's so awesome.
I want to knock you out of the way.
Coming. Hi, Kevin.
Oops, that isn't what I wanted to post. Hold on. Of course, I can. Maybe I do want to post the Zoom meeting. What I wanted to post was the YouTube channel. Just a second. Okay, there it is. I found it. I had to go to YouTube and get this thing. Well, where in the heck? Oh, let's just. Oh, wait a minute. Well, I'm all messed up over here. Just a second. Let's renew this. Ah, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to get that and go post it on Facebook. Just a second here. Get into the group.
Okay, thanks. Screenshot.
And got one more place I need to post it. Just a second. Let's see. Oh, I'll just post it there afterwards. I'm not going to worry about it right now. All right, so we're going to get into doing a hoof evaluation for Megan. And so, Megan, do you want to kind of introduce this hoof evaluation? Are you there?
Yeah, hi Linda.
Hello.
Yeah,
Here,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I'll share your horse's foot. Just a second. Hold on.
Okay. I'm in and amongst family life because it's evening time in South Africa. So if the background noise is disturbing, please let me know and I'll move to somewhere more quiet.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. Okay, so are you seeing your foot there? I have it up on the screen.
Yeah, we can see the screenshots. Thanks.
Okay, so do you want me to just tell you what I'm seeing? Or you want to say what
Dive straight in.
what you're concerned about first?
Okay, so I'll keep it very short. It's only 1 foot. So the rest of
Okay.
her feet, I feel like I'm understanding the distortion and what my challenges are. But
Okay.
this foot, it's just boggles my mind.
Okay.
Every time I look at it, I think I'm seeing one thing, then I look at it again. I think I've now identified the problem, but
Okay.
I wanted to work through this 1 foot with you because you always see things that the mere mortal doesn't. So I want you to just tell me if I've missed something or if what I'm thinking is sort of on track. I sent you the photographs sort of like in batches just to try and help
Okay.
show what the foot was like and what changes I've made. So that picture now that you're looking at is the foot from August last year. Definitely looks a lot better now from the side view.
This one here. Okay.
The last photo, yeah, that one. That's the foot from August last year.
Okay.
And then in the second batch of photos, I sent you the picture of the side angle view of the foot now. So I thought it's quite nice to. I should have actually made a collage for you to save you the hassle. And yeah, just to show the sort of changes.
Now, which
but
foot
my
is
biggest
this?
concern, Linda,
Which foot is this? It's
yeah.
the right front, left front.
So all of the pictures I sent you today are of her right front hoof. It is her upright hoof. I've been told she has high-low.
Okay.
But what I've learned over the last 2 years or year and a half since I've been looking after her feet is that she has more just 2 different distortions. So her feet have handled the bad trimming and distorted differently. That's what my understanding is.
Yep.
Yeah. So the first batch of photographs I sent you are of the foot recently, but prior to the kind of big trim that I did. And when I say big trim, I made some big decisions and big changes, even if we're talking millimeters. It was very nerve-wracking because I thought either I'm going to mess this foot up and make it way worse, and then I'm going to have to deal with those consequences, or I'm going to follow my gut instinct and everything I've learned from you and like just common sense of what I'm seeing in terms of like leverage and opposing forces and stuff, and just think logically how that would affect a foot. And then, worked from there. And I think the changes have been very good. So the second batch of photos is how the foot's changed since I did those.
Okay.
Changes.
Okay, let me read this real quick. So first batch, these are pics from approximately 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, so go up a little.
Okay, and go up. That's the latest trim. These were the image of the foot before. Before her latest trim. I thought I'd share the pics with you now before we start the hoof chat. So these are where you got a picture of the mare with her head down. These were the image of the foot before her last trim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the picture with the mare.
Yeah.
A recent photograph.
Okay.
But before I trimmed her.
Okay. Let me just take a look here. So this is before your trim. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And see, what I'm paying attention to is what's going on right here between the bulbs. That there.
So interesting.
Because that is periopal. That is what I call the periopal rope. And as the bulbs are pulled under, okay, this periopal, well, you see that crack right there? See the little cracks? Okay, you could put a hoof pick in there, okay? Because what happens is this bulb curls around and in, and this bulb curls around and in, and then this piece of periopal that should just stay up here gets sucked in and gets pulled down. It literally, the skin is getting pulled down, and then it grows, and it can grow a huge ropey looking thing right here. And it will grow and cover the whole central sulcus. And the periopal will and can grow over the whole frog. And so what it's doing is it's holding the hoof capsule on. It just happens to do that when the heels get trimmed out, because you got to have some good heel connection, and you have to have a real frog growing in the central sulcus, which then you call a frog stay, to support and hold the capsule on the back of this foot. Okay, so this is the most recent, other than the fact that you trimmed, right? Hello?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, for some reason Zoom keeps kicking me out the meeting and then allowing me straight back in. So if you don't hear a response from me, it's because I'm waiting to come back in. It's only done it twice since I joined, but I'm hoping it won't happen too often.
Stupid thing.
At the end of the photographs I've sent, you can see where I put these are the pics from her foot from 2 years ago. So you can see how much worse the foot was. It's approximately like 18 months, 2 years ago. So if you scroll down.
Okay.
No, that's recent.
Yeah, I just want to take a look at them before I go down there.
Yeah.
So I can kind of have that in my head. Okay, so we're going to scroll down to the very end. Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No.
You need to go right down to the end of our chats, if possible.
Right here?
Right down. Further down.
See, I don't have it.
Okay, so where the X-rays. Sorry, where the X-rays are, Linda.
The X-rays. You know what? They didn't come through.
You'll see some radiographs.
Something happened to where, I don't have any X-rays.
It's there. Go down a little.
I would go down, but it won't go down anymore.
There. So move your mouse up and to the left. Up, over, left, up, to the right a little. There's an X-ray right there.
Ah!
It's so weird how it all appears
Thank
on
you.
different screens differently.
Okay, I still don't have it. Oh, wait,
It's
right
in the
here.
same batch of images where the foot
Yeah.
has burst out the back of the capsule.
Oh, okay, right here. Oh, she got kicked off again. It says that the sex of this horse has been unaltered. Probably a good thing since it's a mare. I don't know if I ever agreed with that spaying mares thing. That's interesting. It says that. Hello? Well, Megan got kicked off again. So when was this? Let's see. This is that foot. And you can tell by looking at it that it was whenever this was. Let's see. This is 22. July 6, 22. We'll go on until Megan can get back with us. All right, so this is a very bound foot. You can just tell by the way this looks. That's not the way cartilage is supposed to look. Hello, are you back? Somebody came. Huh. Okay. So until Megan gets back with us, we're going to keep talking, and I'm going to try and read everything she's written there and do an evaluation on her foot. So she starts out, whenever she started with this, as we all started with the bound foot, where the heels are trimmed out and all the cartilage and digital cushion and bulbs and everything that should be up back here. Let me do an annotate. Where is my annotate? There we go. Get an annotate. Okay, that ought to work. Okay, so this, you can see this cartilage here. Now, this is interesting, this little bump here. I think that's that little bump that's supposed to be, you ever see it on that cartilage? There's a little bump that goes like that. Okay. Let's see, let me undo. Okay, so this little bump here is pulled down. Maybe that might be something else, but I'm thinking it might be. So there's a little bump. You got your cartilage here that goes whatever. I can't draw that part very good, but right up here, okay, right up here, there's a little bump that goes like that. Okay, and this should not be pulled down like that. Okay, this should be straight out behind. There's another little bump here. I'm not good at drawing it like that. Well, maybe not quite that much. Let me redo that. I need to practice my drawing. Should be more like this. More like that. And really, okay, that might be a little much. Might be more like right about here, maybe. But then maybe not, because we're seeing that these horses, this cartilage is pulled down here, should be up here. Okay, so you got your bulbs that would be right here. And they're either going to get pulled down under to here, or they're going to wrap around into here, into the center of the foot. They literally, like, here's your bulbs. There's where they are. But they literally will get wrapped around into here, like so. Okay, and then this little piece of periopal here, it gets stretched and pulled down in the center of them like that. Now the periopal skin here will just merge with the frog and grow over the whole frog. And then the central sulcus that was here, you'll strip the real frog out and it'll get filled up with periopal. And in the back of the foot, I've never drawn it before, so I don't know if I can draw it. Okay, so the back of the foot's supposed to look like this. Okay, and this would be periopal. This is the periopal band. It's not supposed to be under the foot. It's not supposed to be pulled in between the bulbs. It covers the back of the frog stay. It covers the back of the frog back here. But when this bulb that it's covering, it covers the bulb. It's just a band of skin around that hoof capsule. Just so happens in the back, okay, it looks like this because, you know, here's your hairline. Okay, this is way up between the bulbs. And so this skin is growing from up here. Okay, and when your bulb gets sucked in like that, and it pulls that skin with it, and as your bulbs, okay, so let's say this is your foot, your cartilage, and there's anatomy in here. There's a digital cushion, a big fat cushion of fat. Well, then you got frog corium you have frog corium that is, let's use green for a frog. You have frog corium that's right back here, right back in here. See? So you got your frog corium back in here. And you got your bulbs, you got your old digital cushion up in here. Let's give it a color. We'll just give it pink. Got your digital cushion up in here. And as the heels are being trimmed out, the hoof capsule is pulling all of this anatomy back here down and pulling it forward. Well, you have this digital cushion here, and you have this frog corium, and plus you have you already have frog that's growing from the frog corium. Let's make it light green. So you already have some frog growing, let's say, and it's the right kind of frog. Okay, and it grows, and just a minute here. So this frog corium, clear up in here, and the frog itself, the frog stay, grows in the central sulcus and clear up behind the back of the foot like this. It's on the other side of here. Inside there, that should be frog, and going over to here. This periopal will cover the back of the foot. It just kind of ties things up and keeps things together. Right on the other side of that is that frog. And so then somebody comes along, thinks, oh, this horse has too much heels, and they start trimming it out, which puts all the horn tubules that should have been like this, now like this. So they're all going to be growing forward. And so as the back of this is pulled down, it's not like somebody else ain't living here. All right. So this is jumping its borders, and it's coming in to the foot, and it's going to start pressing and pulling on this digital cushion and forcing it down and forward. It's going to take the frog that is currently there, and it's going to start pushing the current frog growing from the frog corium forward as well. So now all this stuff, the digital cushion and the frog corium and the frog growing from it, well, they're being forced into a different position. Okay? And so the first thing to go is the frog growing from the frog corium. See, because it's temporary, right? You know, just like they talk about how frogs can, what do they call it? Shed. Okay, I have come to the conclusion that no, frogs do not shed. What happens is, something happened in the foot back here that moved the frog corium and made made the frog itself come loose. And so, yeah, then people think, oh, it sheds. No, you just been trimming the heels out gradually. And every year it gets worse. And so you're dislocating that frog growth. Okay. And so it comes loose from the frog corium as the frog corium is being forced forward. And so let's show you what happens to frog corium. Because again, let me see here. Again, you can't pull all this down like to where it is here. You see it? Well, what happened to the digital cushion that was in there? What happened to what might have been the original frog if it ever had one, if it ever actually got to have one to begin with? And so all this is being pulled down and forward. Meanwhile, it's pushing into the digital cushion. Digital cushion's being forced to move this way. And not only is it moving and being deformed, okay, like where's it supposed to go? Like, I don't know where that ball is I have. You know, that stress ball that Janet Hare got me? You squeeze it and it squirts out other parts of your hand because it's just a soft ball and it's made of this stuff that when you squeeze it, it'll squirt out in another place. But it's covered, it's a whole ball, so the ball doesn't break. So what happens when this digital cushion is being forced in here? Well, one thing that happens is it gets compressed and under a lot of pressure that it's not supposed to be under. Another thing that happens then, as the digital cushion and everything is being forced forward, because all this is being pulled down and forced forward, the frog is becoming detached as the frog corium is also being pushed forward and distorted and deformed. And so eventually, as these heels are being trimmed out, it strips the frog off the foot and out from between the bulbs here, and it is replaced by this periopal skin that's right here covering it. See, now you got to notice you don't see the frog. It's covered over by periopal skin. Okay? And so you don't even know that the frog is being stripped out from between the central sulcus there, between the bulbs. And as it does so, this part of the periopal skin right here. First of all, this part of the periopal skin, because this is all one piece. Now, it's all one piece right in here. Even though right here, it goes like this. Okay? So, as the bulbs that it is attached to, that part of the anatomy it's attached to here, because remember, it's just a layer of skin. As that bulb on the other side of it right here is being pulled inward. It pulled inward like this. See, I showed you. It's pulled inward like this. It was out here. But the bulb is being pulled in. As the bulb is being pulled in, what I call spooled in, okay, this is still just one piece of skin here. But inside of it, see, I should make it a different color. Just a minute here. What color should we? Well, internally, this is the bulb. Okay? That's internal. I mean, all this is. See, this periopal band just tidies up and covers up all this stuff that's just on the other side of that skin. So as this bulb is being pulled in this way, and as the frog corium is being pushed forward, these are being pulled in like this. Okay, it's dislocating the frog. The frog stay is being stripped out of the foot. And let me get a different color. Now remember, we got this layer of skin out here. This periopal skin, which covers the whole thing. Okay, this periopal skin is getting sucked in with all this stuff. And as it gets sucked in here, okay, and sucked down, it is getting sucked down and in. Okay, this periopal skin that's attached up here between the bulbs, we have all seen that little area that goes up there, right? Between the bulbs, and then you got your hair up here. Hairline, ding, yank. Okay, as this is being sucked under the foot, like this. Okay, this little piece of skin here, as these are being sucked in, is being pulled down. And so these things here, it winds up being like looking like this. Wait a minute. Because all you're seeing is external. You're not seeing the fact that these bulbs have been turned in that way into the center of the foot there. This little piece of skin, it starts being stretched down like crazy, and it develops a little rope looking thing here between the bulbs. Okay. And so, but you will have, let's see, let me get a different color. There will be a little crack here and a little crack here. Okay. And it may all look like one piece, but it's not, because what you have here is just the fact that this bulb got sucked in here and that bulb got sucked in here, and then this big fat ugly rope grew over it, and it grew into the central sulcus here, and it took the place of the frog stay. And see, I know this for a fact because I've not only seen in that where it happened on my horse, but a number of others as well. And all the time you thought it was a frog stay, but it wasn't. It was just a big lump of periopal that grew in there over the frog after the frog was stripped out. And it helps hold the horse's foot together when it's compromised. So what a great design, huh? Because if it wasn't for the fact that mankind, okay, is decimating these horses' feet. I mean, this barefoot trimming and this, the farriers trimming the heels out, none of this would have ever worked at all if it wasn't for that periopal band. That periopal band goes to work to take over in places where the hoof capsule has been compromised and hold it on. It can grow over a trimmed out heel and become as harder than hoof wall. So it wraps up the whole thing back here and you don't even know it happened. And so that is what we're looking at on her foot. And I'll show it to you how it happened on my foot. And what I did, how I started, see, I seen that there for years, how it would just get a funny ropey looking thing. And I wondered what was going on there. And I just thought it was part of the frog. See, but it's not, it's periopal. And sometimes you have a mixture growing over the whole frog. And so that's great. That's great because it kept that foot from falling apart. Like if let's say a horse out in the desert and there's big famine, or drought, which would be a famine for a horse because grass ain't going to be growing. So the horse has to travel long distances and winds up wearing his heels out. Well, in this case, this periopal saves that horse and allows him to survive by holding his hoof capsule on and taken over for parts that got worn down. But think about it is, then when we come along and we purposely wear them down, thinking we're doing the right thing, well, periopal goes to work to do the same thing, but it's a slow, gradual process, and so people don't even know what's going on. All right, so, let's, okay, just a minute. Gotta take a drink of coffee. Okay, so another thing, all this stuff is displaced and deformed. And one of the things the frog corium will do, it will either get real wide. It will either get real wide and you'll have, I mean, you have several different kinds of distortions depending on where the back of this foot pushes this stuff to. Like when those, just a minute. When the bulbs curl in, just a sec. Got to get the right color here. I've lost the colors. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Just a second. Come on, open up. Well, hold on. I got to go back to that foot. Hold on. Where is that foot? Where is that x-ray? Okay, there it is. Okay. Just a second. Okay. It's not letting me change colors. Like, why? Let me try this again. Okay, there we go. Okay, so where was I at and what was I doing after all that distraction? Okay, so I'll just kind of start over a piece here. So all this anatomy is being pushed in here. Now, I wanted to show you different things. The frog corium different shapes. The frog corium can be pressed into, because depending on the shape of that frog corium is how the shape of that frog is going to be that's growing from it. And so we need to learn to recognize what has happened to the frog corium, how is it growing, so we know how to trim it and what it does. And so one of the things, when all this stuff gets pushed forward and is pushing that frog corium forward, one of the things that can happen is this frog corium here, instead of, see how it's nice and level and straight here? Okay, when it's being pushed forward, it can start being pushed up into the foot. Well, I should have got green. Just a second here. It can start being pushed up into the foot. Oh, make it wider. Like this. See? So that, but you don't know it. You don't know that's happening, because as it has been being pushed up and it's grown, new frogs, if it hasn't grown a new frog, what'll happen is, instead of seeing the frog like this, okay, here's the frog growing from our frog corium here. Okay, if it hasn't shed and or just kept growing and been lightly trimmed or different things, okay, when it is shoved up and your frog corium is bent like this, then this frog that should be flat that you see here, you'll see a slight bend in your frog, like it's almost concave. And so start noticing that in these people that think their feet are doing so good and they're getting all this concavity. Okay, because see, what's happening is, as all this foot is being pulled under, the whole foot can bend in the center right here, just like I bent this frog corium, and then it'll have a false concavity. And so your frog corium is bent from being shoved forward, like originally it was back here. See, your frog, but it got shoved clear up to here. Look where this foot is. What happened to all the anatomy in that foot when it was bound up like that? So it's in a position where it's not supposed to be, in a shape it's not supposed to be. And here's another thing. As this frog is shoved forward, and a lot of times, sometimes the toe of this, the foot pulled back, your frog apex that should be, say, right here, my drawing is not perfect, can wind up clear up here. See, you can wind up with your toe clear up here. Look what happens. You wind up with your heels that should be here, wind up here. Your frog that should be apex, that should be here, winds up here. And then your toe that should be here winds up here. And your sole that should be, well, like from back here clear to here, winds up from here to here. And then your horn tubules that should be here wind up here. And so I'm going to undo a lot of that because I'm making a mess, like a scribble picture of a 5-year-old. Let me get it off there. Okay. And so really the whole foot here is displaced and moved forward. Now in this horse, you can see that she's got a good connection right here. So you haven't got really a lot of displaced sole right here that is up here instead with the wall up here. Bless you. Okay. So, all right. So your frog gets deformed. Your bulbs get deformed. The whole foot goes into the mode of creating kind of a false version of itself so it can keep functioning. And it happens so slowly and gradually that people don't even know what's going on. And so some of the things a frog can do, but then here's something that happened. You can have this totally bent frog corium, and instead of seeing just a bent frog in the center like this, it'll fill up and be completely flat, and you don't even know right here that this frog has this big dip in it. Okay, but here's the problem with that. If you don't know that, and you're trying to restore a foot and the frog corium is bent, see, the major part of restoring these feet is releasing these frogs that have, releasing the material that is binding the foot and holding it together. Now, you don't necessarily want to go in there whole hog and just take everything away so that the foot will just expand, because you have to grow hoof capsule in first. And so you have to do a controlled release. And so so you would come in once you had grown some heel in and you determined that, you know, you can release this frog some. Okay, you would come in, and now you have to come in, and here's my eraser, and you're going to have to know that you're going to have to thin that frog down more like that so that this corium here could straighten out. Just a minute. Take some stuff off here. So that it could come back this way. As it does so, what happens is, okay, so your foot, just a minute here. Okay, I think I'm okay. Okay, so your foot that should be this long, okay, but is only this long, because it has that frog also that got pushed up. And if you got frog growth and heel and bar growth that grew from this, when the foot was like this, you have to learn how to release those things and give them new boundaries so that they can release, so that your foot will start expanding back to where it's supposed to be, like so. I'm just using these lines to represent that, because see, all this anatomy starts unfurling and releasing. And your frog corium, your frog has to be able to move back. Now, if you do it too soon on some of these horses, then there's nothing for them to release into, because they have no hoof capsule. And so that has happened to some because of well, that happens to horses that are barefoot trimmed, and it winds up, you hear about these people, they live in a dry area and they think their barefoot horses are semi-sound, whatever. And then they get rain and the feet fall apart and they don't understand what's going on. Well, the only reason your barefoot trim was working was because it was dry. And so I noticed the people in wetter climates that do these barefoot trims, they have more problems than people that live in dry climates. So, and anyway, all right. So we're wanting to allow this foot to release, and the frog can do different things. Just a minute. Just show you some of them so you can kind of recognize what your horse's frog may be doing. Let me find another color to give some examples with. Well, let's use blue. Okay, so let's see. So a normal frog, wait a minute. Where are we? Hold on. Okay, so a normal frog, is shaped kind of like this. Like that. Because it grows from a frog corium of that shape. All right, now, so what's going to happen then if this gets pushed forward? Well, if the bulbs, first of all, this part here, where the frog stay is, which grows from the central sulcus, okay, that gets pressed forward, periopal grows over it. The frog can either wind up getting pushed forward and becoming way wide, like so. Okay, and so then what you have to do is you have to start thinning the frog down and thinning the sides down here. See, usually you have a collateral groove here. I don't know if I can show this right. I don't know how to draw it. So like here, we're looking down at the sole, and oh, wait a minute. And this is a frog, and it's super wide, and you look like you have a big fat foot and wide heels. In reality, that's still a distortion. And so you have to then start kind of thinning the frog down on the sides and thinning down so that it will release and be able to move back so that it's not pushed out wide. So that is one thing that happens. And I've had some horses like that that I've had to trim to correct. Let's see. And then, see, let me undo this. Another thing that happens is the frog, the foot can expand and the frog can get real long. Another thing that happens is if the frog stay is stripped out of the foot and the bulbs are curled in, you can wind up with a frog that's even more narrow than this, and where you just have a slit. You just have a slit there. So we need to learn to understand, what did the frog do in response, the frog corium that grows a frog, in response to the back of my horse's foot being bound. All this foot here that got pulled down and pushed forward. How did the frog corium, where did it get pushed to, and what is going on with it? See, I didn't know for a long time that, you trim a frog and trim a frog and trim a frog and wonder why you're going nowhere. Well, you didn't know that in this case, the frog corium got pushed clear up into here, and that it then got pushed up like that, and then it grew a frog that was just flush with the sole like that. And so all this frog in here will bind your foot and keep the back of your foot from expanding, because that frog is attached to the foot and the bulbs and everything else. And so if you got this big, huge chunk of frog, and I can show you this on feet, and on feet that are cut in half where this happened. You got this big, huge chunk of frog, and you're trying to release your foot. It's not going to release. It's not going to be able to expand because of this part of the frog. Same thing if same thing if the frog is real wide. It could just be overgrowth, or it could be the fact that your frog corium was pressed real wide and now it's growing this here. Now, the worst one, I think, is when it's totally contracted and you got zero room between the bulbs at all, just a crack. To me, that's a worse one to try and fix. Anyway, okay. So as we're looking at Megan's horse's feet, these are things we have to take into consideration. And the one thing I want you to really remember here is what this periopal band did. Okay, how as the bulbs were sucked in this way, it pulled that band in with it. And then the band started growing over the frog that was over here. And then the piece between the bulbs got stretched down and in, and many times will take the place of the frog stay and grow a faux frog stay. But it's a marvelous, it is a marvelous piece of engineering, this thing, how this foot is designed to try and stay together no matter what. Okay, so I'm going to remove all that now. Just a minute. Ta-da. All right. So, all right. So we're going to, are you back, Megan?
Yeah, Linda, sorry, I've been back the whole time. I had to
Okay.
just, I don't know, try to reset Zoom, and now it seems to be stable. So I have been
Okay.
listening in, and yes, interested to see what you think of Ellie's frog, because what you've spoken about now, I'm wondering, because Ellie's frog is quite short and fat. This is a very sort of upright, stumpy foot, and the bulb. So that picture now that you're looking at, that's from about a year ago.
Okay.
So I've got a theory that when the foot distorts in a way where these bulbs spindle inward, that one goes first. That's what I'm thinking about this foot.
Yeah.
I'm thinking medial side where my thumb is. I feel and believe from staring at this foot for almost 2 years that bulb went in first, and the lateral bulb is sort of on top of that bulb, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Which kind of like it might explain why the foot has distorted the way it has. But what's very interesting to me from what you've said is with this short, I can only call it like a deep frog, like her collateral grooves are deep. The frog is fat.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if what you've just said now is possibly the reason why I can't get the foot to open as much. It opens in winter. Definitely when it's a lot wetter, it starts to open up nicely at the back. But as soon as we dry and it goes into summer, it kind of, and I'm wondering if she hasn't got a deep frog material that I really have to, very regularly bring that frog shallower than I would feel comfortable with, to try and release, to get that corium to straighten and come out. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay, well, the main, like if I was looking at this foot, okay, first of all, I would see this periopal rope here. See the cracks there, so you know the bulbs are spinning there, and this is just covering it all up as to what's happening. And so that periopal rope could very well, she could literally have periopal growing in the whole central sulcus area. The frog corium could be bent to where you're trimming the frog flush, but in reality, you got that, big ditch of frog that's growing in there from a bent frog corium. The fact that her, because see, you got, there's so many things in the back of that foot, like hello. Okay, I got it. Wait a minute. Okay, somebody's not muted. But anyway, okay, so you said her collateral grooves were deep, right?
Yes, and I trim the frog and that periopal rope and the periopal on the that grows onto from the bulbs onto the heel material. I trim it and like really well, and then 4 to 5 days later, I mean, it just grows like
Yeah.
a fungus. I think because the foot is so compromised
Yeah.
that it's wanting to protect itself and hold it all together.
Yeah.
But the photo that we're looking at now is not a true reflection of her foot now because we've
No.
come so far. I just wanted to show you and the group this picture to show like how, I mean, I've got, people that I know that have horses that have got feet like this, and they
Yeah.
say, oh, it's not, you don't want to interfere with the back because it's the digital cushion. I'm going, this is not a functional, just digital cushion or a
Yeah.
functional foot.
They
This
don't even
is,
know what the digital cushion is really.
yeah, yeah.
They're
And
repeating what they've been told.
there's no movement in a foot that looks like that. There's
No.
nothing. It's sort of
Yeah.
just bound and numb, I can only imagine.
Yeah. And see, here's another thing that happens. So when this foot gets all bound and when that digital cushion gets compressed up in there, boy, they press on it and they say, boy, look at that digital cushion. Or, as it's being compressed, it's also trying to erupt out another place. And they'll say, oh, look at the digital cushion is growing. No, it isn't. It's
Yeah,
being squeezed and pressed out and compressed and destroyed. See?
100%.
So, okay, let's go to now where is the most current picture again?
Okay, so if you go, so those where the mare is, where Ellie
Yep.
is, those pictures in that batch, those are not current. The
Okay.
next set
This one
down,
here.
yes, that is all current. If we
Okay.
start at the top left, that one, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So this
Oops.
is her foot now, like a few days ago.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
wet
hey.
because I soak her in the hoof bath. It's summer here, so it's very hot
Yeah.
and dry, but I soak her in this water to help trim.
Yeah.
And the two questions that I have around this foot, the two or three questions actually. So it's a strange foot because her leg is straight from the shoulder down to the knee.
Uh-huh.
From the knee, the leg conformation, it doesn't angle out per se, but the the leg angles out, but it doesn't stick out, if that makes sense. It's almost like the capsule is rotating the angle
Mm-hmm.
of the leg outward.
Yep.
So the confusing thing with this leg, and I've given you a few photographs to demonstrate, if you pick up her hoof and you sight down the foot, it
Uh-huh.
looks like your heels are balanced. If you
Okay.
pick up that leg and you sight down the foot again, like this one
Uh-huh.
that you're looking at now, I looked at it, I thought, foot looks balanced, heels look balanced. I'm kind of okay with my work.
Mm-hmm.
But then you pick up that foot again and you hold the leg slightly different, and the
Mm-hmm.
heels are totally off. And if you get the hairlines, like here, if the hairline is straight, you see that her lateral heel is significantly higher than the medial heel.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did with this trim, which I thought, because something that was deceiving me was the periopal buildup in the collateral groove on the lateral side
Uh-huh.
was much more significant than the medial. So when I
Okay.
took those down and equalized-ish as best as I could, it showed more how much higher the lateral heel was. And this is after, I mean, a week before this picture was taken, I took that lateral heel down by at least 2 or 3 mil. And people that I know said to me, "Oh, but you can't do that in one trim. It's going to cause problems." And I thought, well, I've already done it, so I'm going to have to see. And
Okay.
she was fine.
Okay.
But yeah, so the questions I have for you is why does her leg, if you pick it up at one angle, the other angle, I don't know how to pick up her leg properly I try and get the hairline straight. How do you know what you're really looking at when you're pulling a leg up? And
Okay.
then the second question is, when I pull it up so that the heels, where I think I'm looking at the foot accurately, so the hairline is straight and the heels are skewed. So I'm like, okay, I need to bring the heel down. But then the sole plane of the foot is sloping low on the medial, sloping up towards the toe quarter on the lateral side. And I can't understand what is causing the sole plane to be so skewed.
Okay,
so there's just lots of things about this foot that I'm not sure about. And plus there's bruising in the lateral toe quarter. Which makes me think she's breaking over skew, but I don't know. I'm very confused.
Okay. Well, okay, so this lateral side here.
Yeah.
This is the lateral side of the right front, and that is the side you said was high, that always seemed high, right?
And is flared, correct.
Okay. Okay, well, in reality, and we've talked about this before, but you might have missed it, or because this sighting down the feet can be deceptive in what you are really seeing. Okay, so what happens is, in reality, this heel is trimmed out more than this heel. And as it gets trimmed out, it starts to push forward more, which pushes it out, and it pulls the whole bulb down. And because
Linda, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted, because that's what I thought for about 6 months with this foot. And then after watching several of your videos about which heel is more run forward and turning the foot the other way, her medial heel is the foot. It's not the foot that's flaring out, but it's the heel that's run the most forward. If you look at the sole view, the medial heel is about 2 or 3 millimeters in front of the lateral heel.
Well, let me look at a sole view.
Yeah, so that's a sole. Sorry, I didn't crop that picture, but yes, that is the sole view. And you can see the medial heel is significantly forward of the lateral heel. Unless I'm seeing it wrong.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out why that is. All right, something that
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the trimmer right-handed or left-handed?
Oh,
I'm right-handed.
I'm wondering if that's contributing to that.
Well, I'm right-handed, and I made all my horses' feet asymmetrical. See, I mean, because everything on this foot, okay, because when you bring a heel down, you bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay, that's part of the problem, because when you bring a heel down, you bring it back, and it, in truth, will be trimmed out more than the other heel, if that makes sense. There's all these little optical illusionary things that go on with these feet. And yes, this heel is back further, but when you bring it down, it brings it back. But in reality, it's pulling this whole thing forward, even though it looks back here, simply because when you bring a heel down, you bring it back. That's why they're always saying, well, I brought the heels back. No, you brought them down. See, that because anytime you bring a heel down, you bring it back. And anytime you bring it back, you bring it down. So yeah, this heel can be further back here, but this heel can still be more trimmed out, because see, if you look, let me save the image and make it bigger.
What was interesting was when I did trim that lateral heel, it took away, because in one of the before photos, you'll see that there's all that sort of squashing on the medial toe area. And I thought part of me thought, okay, I need to shorten the toe because there's jamming and stuff on the medial toe. But then I realized what I thought was that actually it was because the lateral heel was so significantly higher. And so when I dropped that heel, the toe evened out without me touching the toe. But I'm not sure if I'm seeing this correctly. I do feel that her foot is looking much better. She's not walking with such, because I thought she was walking almost a bit sort of like navicular because the foot was so bound and everything was pushing up into the base of the foot. So with the changes that I've made, I do feel the foot is more open and she's walking much better on the foot.
Okay.
The lines across the front of the foot are more even. Everything looks a bit more stable.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what you see.
Let's see.
Hear what you see.
Well, what I'm seeing here is that this side is now high, and she's breaking over right into here somehow.
Okay.
You know, what I'm seeing, I'm still at this point seeing the same thing, that this heel in reality is more trimmed out and that it is pulled forward. You know, but you know what? We could have an anomaly of something going on here that I don't know or understand, because see, on the norm, this is what happens. You know what I mean? And
So
you can see how this bulb here is not as wide as this one. See it?
Correct.
And so it could be a deal too, to where, because this is something else that happens when the lateral side, because it's trimmed more, pushes forward and pulls out. Okay, and it tweaks the whole hoof capsule in that direction. And it also pulls this side over, making this side more compressed, because see how wide it is over here?
Yeah.
Compared to that side. And so me personally, I'm seeing the same thing that I always see in these.
Okay.
That's not to say that there's something here that is going on that we're not seeing, or that there's an additional something going on. Because like you said, look, this heel, now did you say this heel looks higher to you than this one now, or this one? You said something about this heel looks further back, right?
Yeah, I'm saying it looks further back, but it's still higher. If you align the hairline straight when you pick up her leg,
I see what you're saying.
That is still higher, no matter what way you turn the photograph, upside down, sideways.
Yeah, it's
higher.
It's higher because it has pulled the whole foot cockeyed.
Okay.
See, that's why it looks higher to you when you have it in your hand. Okay, but in reality, when the horse is standing, okay, it could even seem to be a little bit higher, because another thing that happens is, of course, as you're trimming these heels out, as the horse sometimes tries to stand up, he will, because see, this heel isn't just pushed forward and wide. This heel is being curled in. See it?
Definitely.
And so that means that it's taken sidewall that is over here and it's curling it in that way. And so it's using part of this sidewall as a heel.
Yeah.
And so this sidewall is higher. And so as it pulls it in, it's going to make everything that goes on is going to make it look higher and longer. And that is why what happens is, okay, like that is why when you sight down the heels and that side always looks higher, it's an optical illusion, because anatomically it's in reality not higher, it's more trimmed out. I don't know.
Linda,
yeah,
if we'll go back to that other picture that shows the hairline and the bulbs, if you notice the heel the bulb is higher on the other side. I have the same issue
Okay.
with my little filly. That's why this is exactly what I'm dealing with.
Okay.
The one that showed the hairline.
Okay. Just a minute here.
Yeah, another weird thing, if you hold the foot like this, where you're looking at the sole view, you would swear that the whole capsule is twisting inward. But when you look at the hoof from the front, when my horse's legs are down and I'm standing in front of her and I do a frontal view of the hoof, you would swear the capsule is pointing outward.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
And
see here.
my filly, the outside is wanting to like flare and bulge out, and I have to look at those heel bulbs. And if you look at the heel bulb and draw a line, the one on the other side is higher. You were talking, Linda. You were talking about it, and then you got to talking about something else.
Okay, is it this one?
We still looking at the sole view, Linda?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't. Just a minute. New share. Which picture were you talking about, Terry?
Well, when you were sighting down, like when she was showing that the one was significantly higher. If even this if you,
one.
yeah, see look at the heel bulbs and see how the
Yeah.
bulb on the right. If you
Yeah.
look there, so that is so, because I do the same thing. I kept wanting to lower the other side, my farrier. He was like, "No, you're doing it wrong. It's in the other one. If you look at that hairline, that's pushed up on that side." And
Yeah,
so
this
then that
is the
causes
highest
everything
side, even.
yeah.
Because see, this bulb is literally pulled down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
that's
so it will always push this down. And look here.
Mm-hmm.
Look how much more this is wrapped around this side
Yeah.
bulb
Mm-hmm.
here. Okay. And so yeah, so it's pulling all this periopal and everything like that over to this side. Because see, I did that for years too. And there was this guy named Michael Savoldi that suggested it. And what he'd do is he'd hold a horse's foot up just like that from the cannon bone. And he'd say, "This is how you can tell that you're imbalanced." And then he'd have you draw lines over here and you'd take all this off.
Yeah.
Well, I did a little of that. And one day I noticed that my horse's foot, this heel always looked high, and the side kept getting wider and wider and wider. His feet got so asymmetrical, very narrow over here and real wide over here. And so one day I was holding that foot up and I thought, to heck with it, I'm going for it. And I probably took off this much foot.
Well,
Well, that horse was, in my case, he was lame for a week. He'd have you hold up the back feet and do the same thing. And as I practiced that, this side got more and more. See how pulled down that is?
Yeah.
See, that bulb is there, and this bulb, well, and then you look here, hairline. See, let's take this and turn it over and think about it for a minute. Just a minute here. If I can undo stuff. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so just a second here. Let me get new share. Gotta imagine the horse standing on the ground. Let's see. If he's standing on the ground, okay, which side is going to be lower? See, look she'll be standing at a slant. Oh, where's it? Just a minute. I got to get an annotate here. And a different. Okay. I think it can do this. Okay, so here's a bulb. Wait a minute. Okay, let's measure from here to here. And from here to here. See the difference? See, but
yeah,
if
but if you
we,
measure with measuring tape, which might be
Mhm.
the wrong thing to do from hairline to the bottom of the hoof,
Mhm.
the medial side is like 7, I don't know what it is in inches, but like 7 centimeters,
Mhm.
and the lateral is 8.2. So it looks higher on the
on the
medial
photo,
side because the angle's straighter. But in length, and maybe we shouldn't be looking at the angle, maybe we should be looking at, yeah, I'm not sure.
it's confusing, isn't it?
It is. And
See?
I mean, looking at the foot now, this way, I still think the lateral looks longer. And the other thing that I noticed was when I trimmed the lateral heel, this pink inflammation that she's had for the last like year
Mhm.
in the bulb area of the medial side has gone away.
Okay.
Which the thing is, for me, I keep telling myself like correlation does not equal causation. You know, just because I'm
Yeah.
seeing it at the same time, that doesn't necessarily, but then I'm also like, I don't have anything else to go by except try something and then are there positive results or not? That's all I have. And tact and you know, that's
Yeah.
and I've got to try these things. I trimmed her only, yeah, sometime late last week. So it hasn't really been long enough for me to necessarily see too many bad changes. The one bad thing I have seen already is that when I trimmed that lateral heel by about 2 or 3 mil, I did the next day even notice that the heel had curled in more.
Okay.
Yeah.
That the lateral heel had curled in more?
Yeah, because I trimmed it.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day or the day after, when I picked it up to clean her foot, I thought, that definitely looks like it's curled in,
Okay.
which I didn't want because I was like, that's what, started this problem in the beginning
Yeah.
to start with. But then I noticed all these other positive things, and I'm just wondering, there might even be problems that happen during the restoration process. Like she might end up having an inflamed bulb on the medial side whilst we're growing out the lateral heel. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, um, I should put this in a program where I can rotate it so that it's level. Okay, because right now we have this going on.
But what do you think of the line of her hairline down into the into the central sulcus? Would
Here,
you not
just
say we're looking at the hoof fairly straight?
no.
Because if I try and look at that foot where I've got the hairline straight,
But the
then
hairline
this is
is
what it looks like. The sole plane goes off to the side.
okay,
If I
but
want the
see,
sole plane to look straight, then the whole leg looks skewed. So I don't know
yeah,
which is the right way.
yeah, because see, the bulbs in the hairline are still not correct because they should not be aimed down like that. Okay, they're
Yeah.
supposed to be like this.
Hi, guys.
See?
Sorry, may I interrupt? I
Yes.
want to send you a hoof that I consider that the hairline is straight and tell you that until the hairline is straight like this, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot correct the hoof any other way. I will send it to you. I have several photos. It's not my horse, but this is my priority to make the hoofs straight like this.
Okay.
I will send this photo to you, Linda.
Okay. Let
Sorry,
us.
Linda.
Yeah.
What I meant, I might have, yeah, I didn't mean to confuse everyone. I didn't mean the hairline above the periople. I meant the hairline that goes up the back of the leg. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay,
sure I've
well,
watched you say many times, like that line, if you get that line straight, if you're looking at heel height, etc.,
uh-huh.
then that's what you're looking at. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, I sometimes look at that, but what I'm looking at is the hairline above the bulbs.
Okay.
See that they're straight. So let's look at this picture here of what
So I never use the hairline above the bulbs because I know these bulbs are so distorted. I know they are sucked in and totally in the wrong. I'm using, can I balance her capsule in relation to the straightness of the leg?
yeah.
And when I get the leg straight, the hoof capsule looks totally skew and slanting low to the lateral side. If
Mhm.
I get the capsule straight, then the line of her leg is totally skew.
Yeah,
So I
because
don't know what,
yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense, and that's the way it's going to be because the foot in and of itself is not right. So
yeah,
you can't line them up because that hairline is not lined up to begin with on the foot. Let me see. Just a minute.
okay.
This picture. Okay. Okay, you see here this hairline? And this is good because it shows these bulbs. Look here, just a minute here. Oh,
Is this Ageliki's picture?
yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
Thanks, Ageliki.
Yeah, this is a great example. Okay, so
Thank you.
here we go. Here's your frog stay, and there is a frog behind there. Okay, and here's your bulbs.
Yes, in both photos, this is my first priority to make sure that the periople is even
Yeah,
in both bulbs.
yeah,
And
the
then
periopal
we
skin
can
over the back of the frog and
these are
everything.
two
So,
different horses, the two photos I've sent you.
okay, just a minute. I'm gonna save this one picture. Save as. Let's see.
Because I'm afraid you cannot correct the hoof unless the bulbs are in the same level.
Yeah. Yeah, well, same here, you know. Let me take a picture of this. Hold on. Okay. Do. Oh, darn it. I want to get a picture just to put these side by side, kind of. Well, let me undo this just a second. Annotate.
And to do it, I usually try to make the frog in the correct position and try to fill with sole the corner of the seat.
Uh-huh.
And then everything goes to the proper place.
Okay.
This is what I do.
Well, you do awesome. This foot looks great. Oops, wait a minute. There we go. Okay, now let me go back and get a photo of Megan's, and we want to put them together. You cannot on a see. Okay, this is a problem. All right, you cannot look at the hair going up the back of the leg when a foot is distorted. And this is what they have been doing. That is actually what they have, a tool they use for that as well. Okay, and it's a ruler thing that goes straight up the back of the leg, and then it's got a cross piece that you'd put over the heels, and they use this to try and determine hoof balance. But you can't do that because what's happening is the foot itself is skewed and bent, and the heels are not in the same position because of the bulbs being, one bulb being pulled down and forward and one is up. Okay. So the heels are crooked to begin with and at a different height because the foot itself, which can be bent, is at a different height. And so you cannot use that line up the leg. And that is something they do it in equine podiatry. I've seen a deal where Casey LaPierre was teaching it, and I've said there's a tool for it. We'll go here in a minute. I'll find the tool. Like it's a heel leveling tool. It's like a T-square, for heels. Okay, but you can't use that because this bulb here. Let me see. Am I in the right place? Just a minute. Okay. This bulb, if I trim out this heel, it's going to pull this bulb down and forward. Okay. And then it's going to make this hairline like that. So then and then let's say some of the hoof wall still grows. Okay. It's going to make this side look higher no matter what. So then if I come in there, the only time that T-square works is if the heels were right to begin with. And so that's not really working as far as I'm concerned and stuff. But here's what happens too, Megan, and that is because we're on the internet and there's all these different ideas. Okay, and you're on some other hoof groups too, right?
I'm on other hoof groups.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm on lots of hoof groups.
Okay.
Lots of hoof things.
Okay, and that's cool and that's awesome. All right. But what I'm going to tell you is that sometimes you can get certain pieces of information mixed up, not knowing that that would not be a tact understanding or protocol. And
so the reason I trimmed her feet the way I have now has got nothing to do with anything else except that when I looked at her, she had this jamming in the medial toe, which I thought was coming from this, what I thought looked like a higher heel in the lateral side. And then she had this inflammation and bruising in the medial heel. And if you looked at her leg straight on, it looked like she was pushing all of her weight on the medial side.
Yeah.
And she was a 560 kilogram horse. So when she was looking uncomfortable on this hoof, I kept looking at going, whatever I'm doing in terms of trying to open the back of the foot, maybe I'm not trimming the foot correctly. Maybe I'm not seeing something correctly. That's what started about a month ago, this whole kind of re-examining of the foot. And if you've got a moment just now to look at that photo you mentioned earlier, the front view from a few months ago, where you just see that jamming in the toe, you'll see what I mean, where you look at it and you go, that doesn't look right. Like something looks wrong, but maybe my assumption that it was coming from the lateral heel was incorrect.
Well,
that's not my horse. Oh, that's Ageliki's horse. That's not my horse.
That's okay. I was going to take a save it so I can turn it around because we do want to look at the hairline since we're kind of in that direction. Let's see. And then I'll open that so I have it later so I can.
Well, yes, this is my horse.
This.
She has millions of problems, but since her hairline is so correct, everything seems to be slowly back to its place.
Yeah, because her bulbs are level and even, which the bulbs connect to the heels and connect to the this and that and the other. So then the back of her foot is more level, so her heels would be hitting at the right place.
Yes. And this started when I realized that I have to release the collateral cartilages.
Yeah. Yeah, because all that it's all connected, bulbs, everything. Just a minute here.
So for the last year, Ageliki, the last year and a half, I've been soaking Ellie's feet. I've been keeping the periople under control, trimming out the periople rope, keeping the apex of the frog back, etc., etc. And that back of that foot is so spindled in. I just don't know. I mean, it has opened, but I don't know what else I can do to get those bulbs to come out. In the winter, when it rained for many days, it opened, but then as soon as it dried up, it kind of went back, not to the same degree. So it's not easy to get these sorts of, and the funny thing is, the ironic thing is all the hoof care people I speak to say this is her best foot. And it's the foot that I battle with the most.
That figures.
Okay, so Linda, this picture is now of the foot.
Now. Okay.
But yes, but if you look a bit further back, you'll see the same angle, the same picture of the same foot, but you'll see the jamming in the toe. So this is not the one that shows the jamming and the weird.
So we're gonna go back.
You just, yeah, there, next to the mare picture. Yes.
Okay.
See, this is the picture that started me going, this foot doesn't look right.
Okay,
Do you see what I see?
I do. Yeah, because she's breaking over on this side. Is that right?
Well, I thought she was breaking over on the medial side, but if you look at the bruising in the sole, it's in the lateral toe where she's bruised.
Okay, so this is the medial.
Yes.
Medial side, but you say she's bruised over here.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so
when I looked at that foot and that top of the little bottom bit of her leg there, her fetlock kind of, I was looking at this going, she's leaning all of her weight into that medial side of this foot, which to me tells me there's too much, and the flaring on the lateral, I need to take that down to shift her weight onto the outside of her foot, which seems to have worked. But then I don't know. I'm confused.
Well,
by the foot.
so you thought she was breaking over here again? Is that what you thought?
No, I thought the heel in the lateral side was too high, which is forcing the weight. If you think about the heel on the lateral side being too high, it's going to force the weight forward diagonally into the toe.
See, I'm not thinking as much about height, heel height, as how are they landing on those heels? If that one bulb, the bulb here, this is the lateral side, right?
Yeah.
And this is the medial. Okay, so if this bulb is pulled down, which will make it look, because it gets pulled down this way,
yes,
in back, if you flip it over, it's going to make it look higher. And it'll make this one look lower, okay? Because this one is going to be up higher. Now, let's think about these heels, okay? I'm going to draw something here. Here's your heels. Let's say they're directly across from one another. Okay. And so when the horse lands, they might slightly land on one heel, a little more another, you know. But let's see here. But let's say they're landing. Let me undo that. Just a second here. But let's say this is the ground. Okay, and they're landing at the same time. Okay, they both meet the ground at the same time. Okay, it stands to reason they're going to break over in the center of the toe, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking about something here.
May I say something? Looking at this hoof,
please.
I would take off the height on the medial side.
Hmm.
Because do you see how the hairline is compressed?
Yeah, but wait a second. Okay, just for a second. I'm seeing that too, and that's what I would think. I think too. You know what I'm saying? But there might be also something else that's going on besides this being left high because we all know, like you just alluded to, that if you leave this high, it's going to jam up, right? And so you think you're leaving this high, but what if, let me ask a question here. I want to show you something. Let me get my drawer out here. Okay, what if, say, like this is let's just say this is the lateral, it's the medial. Okay, let's say if one heel is trimmed out more, even, and it pulls the bulb down, and even if the heel looks further back, it can actually be further forward, like this. Okay, so that in reality, okay, because see, as we trim, even if we're trimming out one heel more than the other, okay, when we grab a hold of that foot, we wind up, it happens gradually. And so we're not looking at it like, we're not looking at, oh yeah, this heel's here and this heel's here. We're still seeing, even if this heel's here, we're still seeing them like this, but we hold the foot cockeyed to sight down. And so in reality, you have a heel here and here, okay? And so you're not sighting down this way anymore, right here. Now you're sighting down this way. You see that? Okay, so
Exactly.
okay, so what
Exactly.
happens then? I'm just trying to figure out if my heels are supposed to be here, but really this is going on, then where my horse is breaking over on the medial side, even though I think he's breaking over in the center. And so every time he breaks over on that medial toe, he's hitting that wall and he's jamming it upward. See, it may not be that you were leaving the toe high. It's that these heels in reality are here and here, not here and here. And
So
over
Linda,
time,
that's what I thought about this foot, what you're explaining now.
mhm.
But when I took a sole view of the foot, and I did, so not sighting down the foot, but looking at, I took a photograph of the foot as straight as I could get it.
Mhm.
And I did that line across the heels. The medial heel is up, is forward, not the lateral. And she's bruised in the lateral toe. And if you look at the photo here of the front on view, the foot looks like it's twisting out.
But see, all these horn tubules pushing forward would push on that lamina and cause that as well. See, and if you're looking at this foot and you're expecting, like if all these horn tubules are pushed forward, something's going on because there's a crack in the center of the toe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if you have all these horn tubules that have been pushing around this way, while at the same time, this has been, you know, if she's been breaking over here in this area more than in the center of the toe, okay, first of all, that all this got pushed up, any horn tubules that were moving this way, it stopped them right in here, which is what I'm seeing here with this crack. So like on my horse, you could definitely see that these horn tubules that should be like this had skewed a little bit like that. You know, instead of being straight, they were all skewed a little bit over because the whole health capsule was being pushed that direction and around. So, you know, in my opinion, and see, you have to do what is right for you. And I could change, I'm going to study this foot more. Okay, because it could be something that I'm missing or anything like that. But in my opinion, okay, that left heel is in fact still trimmed out more and causing all this ultimate distortion. But what you can do is you can continue on the path that you are on and see if it works, and then get back to us and we'll study the foot more and see if what's going to pan out with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm definitely not going to do anything now.
Now
for
I'm
at
not
least-
going to do anything.
Yeah, I'm
Don't
not
blame
going. Well,
you.
because I've just trimmed, I'm going to leave it for
Yeah.
at least 2, 3, 4 weeks and just see how the foot responds.
Yeah.
I know I've taken a lot of your time, but what could be interesting is maybe if you could put the same view foot next to this one. I don't know if that could be helpful.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Hey, and here's the thing. If we find something in this foot that makes everything I just said here not correct for this foot, I'll be more than glad to recognize it, see it, and go, okay, I was wrong about that. All right. Because I find all the time that there's an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
And that you have to really, really watch that, you know, because these feet can present so many false versions of themselves. And sometimes you think you're reading something right, but you've missed something that would make a difference in the equation. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I've always just felt, I'll try things in a very small way and then watch and go, okay, yes,
yeah,
that was the positive change, or actually, ooh, that's doing something I don't want
Yeah.
it to do.
Okay, so let me get a picture of this one.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we'll look at the other one. Okay, but you notice there too on that foot that you're not directly in front, that you're kind of off to the side. So when you get a frontal view, you got to pull your camera over more towards whatever side you're not getting, so that you
Okay.
get a perfect in front there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the angles of the two photos are the same, because that also
Yeah,
might be
that would help.
skewing things.
Okay, so I got that picture. Now let's go find the other one. Where would it be?
The
This
other
one?
one, yes, correct.
Okay, so let me get a picture of this one, and then what I'll do is I'll put them in a little collage, and
Thank you.
we'll look at them from the front. Okay. Okay, that was before, right? When is
So
this
the one we're looking at now is
Mhm.
the current foot.
The current foot. Okay.
Yes, which is what led me to believe that what I had done was good for the foot, because I thought, this is beginning to look more in what my head about a sort of more stable foot
Okay.
would look like.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here.
And trust, none of these decisions have been easy decisions. I've sat up until 11 at night looking at photos, drawing straight lines, really going, am I seeing what I'm seeing, or am I going mad?
I understand.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. I'm the same way. Okay. And so I totally respect that for sure and stuff. And it's okay if we don't see the same thing. You understand? Because as we keep going, okay, we're both, all we want is the truth, right? So this is what I found out being a truth lover. I actually like finding out when I'm wrong, because anytime you're wrong, it's going to lead to some sort of consequence, you know? And so I want to be correct in what I'm seeing and thinking, you know? So if you're never challenged on that by something else, you could still be wrong, but never realize it, you know? So
Yeah,
if
well, I mean, that's why I asked you for this time, because everything that I was thinking about this foot, but then I was watching the foot and going, it's not behaving or doing what I thought it would be doing, it's getting worse. And then I'm looking at the foot going, but I'm seeing X, but I don't think I should do X. And then after hours and hours and hours and hours of studying this foot, I've gone, I'm going to do X. And if it doesn't work, then I made the wrong call. But if it has worked and it helps my horse, then it was worth just trying it. You know, I knew that the amount of hoof I took was not going to lame her. It wasn't going to cause any, you know, irreparable damage. So it was worth it in my, So.
Yeah. So.
Do you see what I see? Am I losing it?
Well, now tell me what you're seeing here again.
Well, firstly, I'm seeing that my angle is not right. That we're looking at different angles of the foot.
Okay.
So that could be causing some of the change. But I still, like, I think like the angle of the medial wall looks more in line with the lateral, like the hoof. It looks more conical as opposed to like very upright and then very slopey, which might not be a good thing. And I like that those big sort of rises in the toe on the medial side, those ones have dropped down, and I didn't trim her toe. I wasn't, you know, I haven't touched her toe. I've been working on the heels and the sides because that's such an upright foot. I never trim the toe. There is very rarely any material to take away. So that's kind of, I also feel like just looking at this, like there's almost like less inflammation in the leg. It looks like I don't know. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
What do you see?
What do I see?
Yeah.
Well, I see that this crack has gotten a little bigger, maybe, but it was already started here, just kind of a hairline crack. So this crack got a little bigger. I'm seeing kind of a little flare no matter what, bulging, you know. Just a minute.
Look at the coronary band on the inside. The hair. See how it's bulgy right there?
Right here? Yeah. See that? Oh, hey.
Yeah.
A good view there. Let me get my annotate.
So what do you think that is, Terry?
Well, to me, that goes along with it. It's still high on the inside. I have the exact same foot. That's why I'm so invested in this one.
Yeah, and this stuff makes a difference, that those bulgings you get in the hairline. See, it's so hard because this is just a shoe on a foot that's got two basically independent heels. I mean, the whole back 2/3 of each side of that foot is independent. Even though it's got a frog and parts connecting it all together and covered with skin, if I take the back of that foot with no capsule on it, okay, and I have one half and a heel and a bulb in one hand and one half and a heel and a bulb in one hand, I can just twist it. I can push one heel way up and bulb up and pull one down, you know. And so when I push the one up, it could go forward a little. When I pull the one down, it can go down and forward a little. And the whole back of the foot is like skewed. Just like if you put your fists together and your thumbs, and you're looking at your thumbs, and then you just twist them, you know, and one thumb goes one way and one goes the other. That's that foot. It's so that, and so then the hoof capsule grows from when it gets distorted, and the hoof capsule binds it there, holds it there. And so this balance, I guess you call this medial lateral balance, thing can get really, it is real complicated due to the fact that we're dealing with two objects, a hoof capsule and a foot that can be distorted and deformed and pushed into a position it shouldn't be, you know. So I do think it makes a difference with the angle of these pictures.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I noticed that, like, on all my pictures, like when I'm trying to compare, I really try to get them lined up as much as possible. Now on one of my feet, what is it, the left front, I have a big quarter crack right there. Okay. And so always use that. Always use that as a tool for alignment, you know. Oh, please, I don't want to answer the phone. Just a minute here. Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Megan, is your horse an older horse or a younger one?
She's young. She's 7. She
Okay.
turned 7 in September.
Mine is 3, and I've been having the same. And I've got a 30-year-old that the more I tried to straighten this, the worse I made it. So it's like I've got, a young one that it's just hard. When the older one, once arthritis sets in and stuff, you can't. It's almost like you got to keep trimming to the distortion, because I made her more sore the more I tried to straighten her foot.
Yeah, that makes sense too, you know. Because that foot has remodeled.
Yeah.
You know, and they've adapted up to that point. So, you know, I mean, that's another thing we have to think of. Sometimes, how much can we do? I mean, yeah. See, same problem. That was with my old mare. You know, fortunately, I was able to restore enough to where she felt better. So before she decided to leave this world. Old Molly there. Listen, I do want to look at some more pictures. I want to look at each side. Do you have a medial view and a lateral view?
Yes, I sent you a medial and a lateral view, and it's quite scary because the lateral view, I'm going, wow, this hoof is really starting to look, because she used to have what you refer to as a ski slope from the lateral view. That's all gone. So I'm like, that's wonderful. But then when you take a photo on the medial side, it looks how the foot looked on the lateral side about a year ago. So it's like a different foot. As you said, it's two of this, it's two different digits, really.
So that was the medial view, the one I just showed, right? And then this is the lateral.
Sorry, you're not screen sharing, Linda.
Oh, sorry. Is this the lateral?
It's still just the front view. That's the medial. Which is how it looked like. I mean, that looks like a little, it's tiny. She's 17 hands. That's a tiny little.
It does, doesn't it? Let's see, that was the
medial.
Okay. It gets confusing. Okay, that was the medial. I'm going to open that up. I already took a picture of the lateral so that we can compare them.
Thank you.
But just to make sure I got the right one, the lateral.
That's lateral, correct.
This, come on. That's the lateral.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, now let's tell you something I notice on this. Okay, and that is that there is a crease here. And there seems to be a strange flare right there.
Okay.
Okay. And from so far my experience, okay, just in general, when these feet get more compressed and a bulb gets pushed in and it pushes in that side of the foot, okay, it rotates the coffin bone down. First of all, it pushes the hoof capsule forward, it rotates the inner foot down. And so that's when they develop these flares. Now, this is just in half the foot. The other foot looks different, doesn't it? Let's see. Okay, so now let me do what I did with this last one. Try and size these so that they are the same. And let's see.
I'm trying to see, Linda, maybe I should send you another one of the lateral because that one doesn't seem to be quite the right angle. Looks a little
Okay.
bit forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a better one. I'll send you this one. Just give me a sec.
Okay.
I'll just send it on Messenger. Okay, I've just sent you a better lateral view.
Okay, let me
Should come
get
through.
out of here and get in there. Just a second here.
It'll be at the end, yeah. There we go.
Okay, this is a more side view. Just a minute. This is a more side, you know, I say on these, when you take these pictures, you want to put your camera like right here. You want to keep it aimed at this right here. You want to keep it aimed right there. But then you want to start moving it this way, and you're kind of turning your camera to keep it aimed there and stuff, but you want to be coming back this way. And a lot of times until you get back here and you can just barely see the other cartilage or bulb on the other side. And then you get a full side view so that you can really study these cartilages. Okay, because that's the main thing we're looking at. The bulb here and the cartilage. What is going on with that? That's the main thing. The main thing we look at is not the hoof capsule. The first thing, the main thing we're reading is what's above the hairline first. And that is the bulbs in the cartilage. What is going on with the bulbs in the cartilage? Because everything that happens with them affects everything in here. Okay, so let me take that picture. Okay, let's see here. Lateral. Now I'll get that medial one up there. Wait a minute. Okay. Lateral and medial. Trying to make them the exact right size.
Sorry, Linda.
Let's see here.
I don't think you can make them the exact size because they look like two different feet.
Yeah, it's interesting. I noticed that too. See, that's what got me to taking more pictures was that, and see something wholly different. Maybe one bulb is curled in more. Weren't you saying something about that?
Yes, in the beginning, I feel
Yeah.
like one goes in first and the other
Okay.
kind of overlaps it in the back, yeah.
Okay, so
But that's just a little hunch.
Yeah, see, I haven't put this in my head before, even though it's, you know how you can have stuff in your head, but it's not like put together yet.
Yes.
Okay, because we know that a bulb can be pulled down and forward, and we know that a bulb can still be uprightish, but instead it's wrapped into the center more. So maybe that's what we have going on here. Is one is just way more wrapped into the center and one is just way more pulled down. Yet they're both trimmed out kind of to the same degree. Because remember, you can have the heels trimmed out and yet you still have what looks like heel height, right?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
definitely know these are fake heels. Her heels are somewhere way in the middle of that foot. They are so sucked in that these are not heels.
So see, all of this discussion, okay, every bit of it does us all a lot of good, because then we wind up putting pieces together that we hadn't put before that may help us arrive at a better reading of what we're looking at which in turn helps us to understand what this anatomy does, which in turn helps us figure out what do I need to do to correct this and bring it to what it's supposed to be. See?
Yeah.
So
Also, I have to get going, but I just noticed in the other image with the two hooves, that this image right here, that other leg is in external rotation, or this one is in external rotation and the other leg is straight, which could
okay.
be causing the misuse of the hoof.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for noticing that.
Tiffany.
See, looking at the other leg too. What's that other leg doing? You know, like,
I mean, I can appreciate what Tiffany's saying, but I think in
yeah,
this case, it was just a random, she was eating and I was trying to get her to place her foot on a flat surface and it just got a
okay.
bit weird. But
So
that
yes,
normally faces straight.
yeah, because see how it's angled out there. But anyway, but that's always something to notice too. What's going on with the other leg? Because used to be when I take the pictures like this, lateral view, I never took medial shots, never thought about it. But then I started noticing the opposite foot in the shots, and I was going, oh my goodness, what is going on there? Because it would be totally different than the medial side or than the lateral side. See, so okay, so new share. Here we go. How's that?
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
the two views.
Okay, so what's interesting is that this foot looks smaller than this foot. Yet and it's not just my sizing. Okay. It's something else. Okay, so this foot looks smaller than this foot. That's interesting. So I do think maybe a tentative evaluation here that this foot is more wrapped around and it could in fact be trimmed out more, even though it's upright, than this foot. Why not?
Which is what everything I'm looking at and reading about this foot is telling is yeah, it's what I'm feeling and
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah,
But I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah, but each side had a different response.
Yeah.
You know, a different response. Like, yeah, so I got to think about that. You know, I'm not at the place yet where I would still be sure that necessarily continuing to take this side down would be the absolute right thing.
Yeah.
But I am seeing where because yeah, I'm seeing where this foot has responded differently to having its heels trimmed out on both sides. Whereas this bulb got pulled down, this bulb got pulled in.
Yes, that would be in line with what I'm seeing on the photos. Her medial side is the one that's pulled in.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, let me just see this. I'm looking at her bulbs now on a different photo on my iPhone.
Yeah,
I can't tell you exactly what has happened, but I can see that they're distorted differently.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, so
hi, hi, this is Alana from Hungary. I got in late because I had to feed everybody and food for the night. But what I'm seeing, something I'm noticing here, maybe it's just my eyes, but on the medial side, it seems like the toe is beveled too much shorter, or it's not, maybe I don't know whether it's from the same day, but on the lateral side, the bevel is very small. No, or it's just me.
Like no, I see Yeah, I see what you are seeing, Ella. It's not just your eyes, but I'm not sure. I do bevel gently around the whole foot just to keep the leverage, but I don't know what that is from because I don't bevel that strongly. I'm not sure if she's just, yeah, like Linda suggested earlier, that where Linda's highlighting now, I beveled that because I wanted, it was pushed up the hairline. But not on the medial side. I don't know what that's from. In fact, the whole hoof on the medial side looks very rounded.
Yeah. Well, except for this little piece right here. See, they look the same there. You know,
yeah,
so
that would be me because I've been working in the heels and on the side, but not on the toe.
Mhm.
I mean, the toe is so short. It's not even, I would say it's probably 7.5 centimeters.
Mhm.
There's nothing to take. There's never any material there to take.
Because if you look at the tubules at the toe quarters, they look very different in these feet, I think.
Yeah, they do. There's a whole different thing going on each side of the toe.
So
That's
the
pretty.
lateral side is the side that is more run forward, and the medial side is the one that is more like the sole view will be more tight. The sole will be more tight to the white line.
Yeah, and the sole more condensed and tight, whereas on this side, what I've seen is it's more hollow, you know, almost concave.
It's then in terms of if we're like thinking about the internal foot, that on the lateral side, the cartilages will be bulging up more because it's more run forward, so the internal heel will be curled in more, and on the medial side, the internal heel, the bulbs will be rolled inwards more, creating this congested sole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything you're saying is right, Eleanor, in terms of, I'm looking at the sole view on my phone and the heels, and what you're saying matches perfectly to what I see.
I wanna go look at the sole view now that we've kind of
doesn't help me know how to
seen this.
Because what I found, I'm dealing, why I'm interested and I'm so happy that I jumped in. I'm dealing with the same issue, Linda, that I sent to you. It's kind of similar, of course, different. And I have two horses and it's a right front in my case.
Okay.
And I'm just collecting all this information because I have to solve my problem also.
Yeah. No, I can relate, and stuff. And so now, do I have a sole view up there?
But the medial looks smaller. The medial side of this of the hoof looks smaller than the lateral side.
Definitely.
And the medial looks more upright from this position than the lateral.
Yes.
Interesting.
So this picture, Linda, you can see this was prior to me trimming. And you can see that from my red arrow, I was looking at that medial heel going, okay, it's definitely the run forward heel.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Centered. It is centered.
Yeah, I can understand why that looks that way, and stuff, especially if you're looking at you're trying to sight straight down that frog, just a minute, let me get it annotate here. Oh, wait. Okay, I got an arrow too. So let's go right from here straight up. So we would have to go over a little bit.
Yeah, because the frog is not straight either. It wants to angle.
Yeah.
In.
Yeah, and so I see how you were looking there. But here's another thing you need to notice. See how big the buttress looks here?
Yeah.
And how small it looks here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's always another sign too, that these heels are more at more of an angle and that they're run forward. Okay, which pushes this whole wall out here. Okay, see all these, there's all these little things, you know, because, okay, so here's your heel buttress. Okay, and it is, you know, like so. Okay, so if I just cut this, like if, okay, it's like I say a carrot. Okay, here's a carrot. Okay, if I cut the carrot straight, like that, and I have a piece of carrot and I turned over, it's only going to be that size. Okay. But if I decide I want to make it fancy and I want to cut the carrot like this, okay, then I wind up with a slice that looks like this.
Yeah.
Okay. But the carrot, that is not the size of the carrot. This would be correct. See? So on that buttress, if that thing gets run forward and starts getting cut at an angle, it gets bigger. Like this. See there? And whereas when it's not at an angle, it is, and see it's like this. Look at this one. Look at the buttress over here. See the difference in the shape of them?
Yeah.
You know, so this one is cut at more of an angle, pushing it forward. And so if you cut it, if you trim it flat, like you trim this one, because it's forward at an angle, it's going to look bigger.
Mm.
Okay. Whereas
I
this
definitely
one,
rasped it flat. It's not, I didn't rasp it at an angle.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know you didn't, but it's setting in the foot at an angle because the heel itself is pushed, the internal heel itself is pushed forward. And so it is growing at this angle, whereas this one is growing more upright. See, and so it's doing this thing. I mean, we have to think about it more. Why does it look this way? Why do they look uneven? Are they really uneven, or what, you know, what happens? So then if you take this one down more, because it's at more of an angle, this area will continue to get bigger.
Yeah.
See?
Which is what I think I saw after I trimmed it when I came the next day or the day after, when I went, oh, there's a much bigger wedge of heel there than there was before. I must have done something wrong. Okay.
See, you see why? Just a minute, I got a cough. Hold on. I need a little drink of coffee.
Guys, this is why I said that the medial side should be released more.
Hold on, would you go ahead and keep talking, please, and talking about that? I have somebody at the door. Thank you.
Yes. Because I had similar problems too. And the moment I decide to release and to not to get more upright, but to get more, how can I say, well, I don't find the correct words, to release the other side, the hoof became straighter and the tubules became more even.
And Angeliki, were you not scared that if you lowered or took off material from the medial side, that the foot would just, because I'm really scared it's going to just sort of collapse inward because the leg is already angling like it's weighting the medial
Well,
side.
maybe you should. I'm not sure, but maybe you should. You could. There is
sorry.
something.
Yeah, Eleanor's not muted. I don't know if she can mute herself.
Yeah.
I can't mute her.
Okay.
Oh, there she's
So,
muted.
maybe you could trim the whole frog to help you. I mean, I would have taken a small piece of the right side, of the medial side of the frog. So the medial side would be really little bit more.
Yeah, so the picture we're looking at now is the before trim. If Linda was here, she
The
could
frog
show
seems to be correct. But sometimes, in order to fix another element, you have to play with. When I see this frog is perfect, is correct, but maybe you should take a small side on the medial, so you can release a little bit the medial heel.
Yeah,
Even if you
I think-
sacrifice some millimeters of the heel.
I hear you.
Yes,
Because
I'm
when I look
trying to think what I did, but I don't remember. I did so many different things that and I don't know which one was the correct one.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard, and that's why I've done this heel lowering, and I'm going to wait and watch it for a bit. And then
Yes,
before I do the next thing, so that I want to be able to pinpoint what really helped. But what you're saying is interesting, because if I look at the bottom of the foot, the wall on the lateral side is sole, it's flush with the sole. It's the same height. I can't take it down. But there is, there's two mils of hoof wall above the sole level on the medial side. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you're seeing one thing going, well, the sole's telling me I should bring this down. But then if you look at the sole, the whole sole plane is skew. So then I'm like, now if I take the medial side down, I'm going to give her a totally skew bottom of the foot. So it's really not it's not a easy, there's not like one thing that you go, if I do that, it'll, the problem will
this
go.
is what I call the micro trims. You
Yeah.
do a very light slice of somewhere, and you see, because, okay, now your frog is perfect, but if it is not the correct frog, we cannot see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I see the medial piece of sole is more compact, and the lateral piece of sole is wider.
Correct. And the bar on the lateral side bends outward, whereas the bar on the medial side is straighter. So there's definitely distortion in that lateral heel. I think it is potentially the more, well, maybe just differently distorted.
Yes, but the size is better on the lateral side.
Ah, interesting, because I think a lot of people think this size on the lateral is better, and I tend to agree with you. I feel like the medial side is too compact and sucked in, that it's not.
That's why I said before that I would work more the medial side.
Very valuable. Thank you, Angeliki.
Well, that's my imagination and how I see things. I'm not sure about this I'm talking about, but I would try.
Yeah, and I love, I mean,
Maybe.
I often think about you when I'm trimming, and I think, you know, Ageliki's advice of just micro trimming, you know, not doing anything drastic, just doing little bits and then seeing how the hoof responds.
Yes, the hoof will tell you. And I wanted to tell this to all of you. If somebody, an outer person, not an attacked person, listen to us, what we're talking about, do you think we are we sound like crazy people here?
Angeliki, I think we are crazy people. I don't know anyone else in my circle of friends who has 3,000 pictures of her horse's feet.
Yes, and especially of one foot.
Exactly. Very funny.
Anyway, try some things and see how it goes. This is my personal advice.
Thank you, Angeliki. I will, and I'll update you.
Thank you. So Linda is in say your things together now.
Linda is?
She said, I go to the door.
Yes, yeah, maybe she forgot about us.
And you see, the condition of our mind is to make upright heels. But sometimes, the more I look at this picture now, I say I would have cleaned the lateral bar more, where the second red line is.
Yes.
I would have make my frog a tad on the left, and I would have released more the medial heel.
And how would you release the medial heel?
Well, I would have give some space, cutting a small slice of the frog there.
I see what you mean.
And I would have scrap a little bit the corner of the seat and make a bevel on the medial heel, just to see what happened. Or a notch, how do you call it? Yes, or a notch in the medial heel.
I wish Linda was here, then she could show you the photograph of the same foot after.
Because I remember the medial and the lateral photos from the side.
Yeah.
And it seems like two different hoofs.
Yes, and I agree with you. I think the lateral one looks a lot healthier than the medial.
Yes. But it's quite the opposite what Linda says now, because she's right. If you take the measurements and the correct hoof, the lateral is a bit higher and the medial should be the one to maintain. But
okay,
I don't know.
Okay, I'm back. What's going on?
And if
okay, I'll shut up. You keep talking.
you
keep talking.
I made
okay.
a small revolution here.
Is there a revolution going on? Okay.
Yes, we
Yes.
figured it all out, Linda. We
It
figured
can be
it
a
out.
good thing, you know. It can be a good thing.
Yes. So you can say to Linda what was my brainstorm.
So Linda, yeah, Ageliki was just helping me see the foot through her eyes
Okay.
and suggesting, and Ageliki, please correct me if I have heard you incorrectly, but she was saying that the lateral side is more sort of a better version of the hoof than the medial, which I tend to agree with. If we look at the lateral and the medial view of this hoof, the lateral certainly looks healthier. It's bigger. The tubules are in better alignment. And Ageliki was suggesting, like through micro trimming, just beveling the medial side of the foot and trying to help that heel release more. She also suggested maybe trimming a bit of the frog away to allow for space for that heel. And that's when I said to her, oh, I wish Linda was here because this is the before trim photo. I can show you on the after trim photo where you'll see that I did trim the frog back. And yeah, I think, is that, Ageliki, have I said it correctly? Did I miss anything?
No, this was my idea when I saw the two hoofs, the one hoof on the lateral and the medial way, because they seem to be two different hoofs.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. So that's the after trim picture, Ageliki.
Okay.
So you can see I did do quite a lot of trimming that the lateral bar, and I actually took a lot of frog away. I was so surprised how, I mean, maybe I took too much, I'm not sure, but I was just, I mean, it wasn't tender. I didn't get down to transparent frog or anything. It was still, there was still material there. And I was doing that, like trying to see what am I actually dealing with? How far does the frog, how sort of rammed up into the foot is this frog? And it just kept coming. There was just more and more material to take. And she wasn't tender at all after the trim. She walked out beautifully. So, she wasn't sore. But you can see in this picture the bruising in that toe region on the lateral side.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that crack there.
Yeah.
So
because Linda, I was thinking the frog now seems perfect, but if it's not perfect and it pushes the whole medial hoof on the side.
Oh, over here.
Yes, there.
Well, but this is upright.
Yes, it is upright, but the space is smaller.
Narrow.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's all been pushed over.
If we want, what is our goal? Our goal is to make the medial part more, because if you see the front view, there is a congestive. How do you say? It's the hoof is
congested.
Yes,
but
to me.
Ageliki, can I, after you talk, can I just voice something? Because you are talking about correcting this side or that side. In my view, it's not about correcting one side or the other side. You have to start dealing with the whole thing, because it's if you look at the lateral side, it's moving forward. We have to imagine that pull if just we imagine that first the lateral side, the fuller side, started to run forward, it creates a pull, a rotation, right? So it will pull the bulb and everything, like it will pull the other side. You see what I mean? So you just can't start correcting one side and not dealing with, you have to be dealing with the whole thing.
Well, see, that's
Yes.
what I found out was that when I lowered this side, even though I thought that side was lower, and then I cleaned out, some of this sole. I also took sole out. I didn't just like lower the wall or the heel more, but I also really thinned out the sole here more. Not really, but then what happened? After fighting an asymmetrical foot for years, what happened was the whole foot shifted to where this wall came in and this wall released.
Lovely.
See? So, these feet, because we're dealing with two different, it's easy to focus on one side more than the other, but everything affects everything else on these things.
That's what, yes. Yeah, I agree with Linda.
So if I've understood Ageliki correctly, I am working on the whole foot. I'm keeping the periople, I'm trimming the apex, I'm, doing all of those things. But I think what Ageliki, and I might be wrong, but I think she was trying to say, if I attend a little bit to the medial side, a bit extra, maybe by taking away some of that built-up wall, etc., it might allow the foot to move. It almost feels and looks like that side of the foot is more locked. Like the lateral side might not be moving in the right way, but it's still moving.
Yeah, and
this
she's
inside
the
medial
same
thing is
thing.
just
We're
yeah.
all saying, see, her and we're all saying the same thing, just in a little different way.
Yeah.
And we're just, as we go through here, we're adding details to the understanding, because everything you're saying there, it's all like coming together. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Very interesting foot. That's all I can say. And I can tell you without a doubt that it is not her best foot, no matter what anyone else tells me. Everyone thinks it's brilliant because, it's upright and it has heels. And I'm standing there going, that's the foot that she is the most unsound on and is uncomfortable on. And it looks so bound. So, but it's a very different foot to what it was, that was the foot, Linda, that burst out the back of the capsule.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely not at a point now where it's about to burst out. It's it's much better foot.
Yeah.
But it's still a long way to go.
Well, I think you've done a good job. I think, because I've seen how it's changed, and I just ran into the picture where it burst out the back. But we've all dealt with a version of this. I had this version in all 4 feet and stuff, as far as being asymmetrical, wide on one side, and just like this, real tight soled on one side. But have you thought about taking more sole out on this side?
I must say I've never taken any sole out of any of her feet. I've never done it.
Okay.
With the environment in South Africa, with a very wet season and a very dry, hot season, they do shed, and their feet have like twice a year real significant times where they shed. And because she's so thin-soled on her other feet, I'm just terrified to make her
to touch that or exfoliate it a little, or.
Well, I do. Like, I'll run my knife over it and if something comes, it comes off. But I don't have like a Dremel or any other tools. I'm just using my knife for loose bits,
Okay. Well, I know she hasn't got a lot of foot either way,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know. So, but a lot of times when this side gets real compressed, because see how it's smaller. What if, here, let me undo this. And I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying to do it or anything like that. But let's say this side is wider than it's supposed to be, and this side is narrower than it's supposed to be. Now, I used to think that it was just this side. This side was wider. Okay. But then I came to realize, no, this side, because this side's wider, it's pulled this side over that way. And so this sole on this side, the sole tubules have become compressed there and stuck together, more dense, because you only have so many sole tubules in the whole thing. So when this side gets pulled out, stretched forward and wide and wider, they're less dense than they're supposed to be. And so the sole is always thinner on this side. When this side gets pulled over and the sole corium gets compressed, then all the sole tubules are growing closer together and they're more dense. And so one of the things I did was I would always leave this side, never touch it, never touch the sole, anything like that. And so when I came to realize that this side was more dense and that this side is going to have to release and pull more over this way, while this side here is going to have to be able to come over at least that much. See? So then when that happens, the sole here will get more dense and the sole here will get a little more spaced out like it's supposed to be. See? And so hard as it was, I made myself take out some of this sole in here, just thin it out, release it a little bit so that it could loosen this whole thing up, so that if it needed to, this wall could move out here. See, does that make sense? Because
Totally. And did you use a knife for that, or what tool did you use?
At the time, I may have used, I mean, you can use a knife. You could use a rasp, because you know, you could use a rasp and just take some out, you know. But I thinned this area down right around here just so that it would release. I thought it would. And when I did that, when I actually took this heel down, okay, even though this one looked higher, when I actually took it down 1/4 of an inch, a little bit lower than this heel, so that the horse was standing, the capsule was cockeyed, but it tended to make the horse itself stand more level. And so then when I just took this wall down some more and took some of that sole out, the whole foot moved. And this side started coming in and this side got a little wider, is all I can say. Now, of course, I'm looking at this foot from the sole view and remembering what I did. And at this point, you know, I can sit here and I go, oh, I don't really remember what stage my foot was in at the time. But I think you could lightly exfoliate this a little more to just release it so that this wall can move.
Yeah.
You know? And you did a great trim here, by the way. I think it looks super.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Just let me try something here. Just you know, I'm just trying to understand more, is all. So, see, you did make your heels look more level here.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
look more level and be more level are
Yeah.
two different things.
Yeah.
It's what I'm learning.
Yeah,
But
that's for
I
sure.
felt that this looked better.
Yeah,
I
that's for sure.
that-
But then again, we're looking at the soul view. And the soul view is the most deceptive view. Okay? Because the
Okay.
soles can look just great. Everything looks normal and the foot can be totally deformed and distorted. You know? So is what I have found. Because used to be that's all anybody ever took was a soul view. You know, and this soul can get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and still look the same. You know, it can just so wrap up and make such a continual false version of itself that you don't even know the rest of the foot is wholly deforming and distorting. You don't know the bulbs are being pulled down. You don't know the frog's being sucked up in there because you keep trimming it normal and the frog stays flush, you know? And so that's why first we look at the cartilages. Like if we were to just look at this foot, a lot of people look at this foot and go, wow, that foot's great, you know? They would not see, but once you turn, we know because we have looked at the lateral views, you know, and the frontal view, but it tells more in the lateral view that there's still obviously something wrong because you got two different feet in one foot, you know,
Yeah.
because they're supposed to be semi, and see, I have that in all my horse's feet. I have a different foot on the lateral than I do on the medial. You know, and used to be very, very wide and asymmetrical, but gradually they're getting same sided. But this side is still on all my horses' feet the most upright, just like what you got. And I have more sole in the heel on that side because still, you know, correcting this side more. So anyway, I guess that's all I can think of. Let's see. Let me undo that. There we go. Okay, so let me undo the annotate here. There we go. I just kind of want to look at the sides of this foot again now. See, you've been working on this foot and you've been growing it for 2 years. I don't think you're in any great danger of over releasing something. I mean, look at here. You've got a pretty good cartilage here. Though more needs to come for sure. See?
Linda, you're not sharing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, now we can see.
Oh, let me annotate here. Okay, so you've got, it's still bound, you know, but you've got some depth out here. You've got, you know, if we would look at this straight on from the side a little further back, I'm sure we would see that your cartilages are a little bigger than they're showing here.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff. So I think you have enough foot that you could do some things on the some things like what I'm saying, you know, because the sole is not the total end all. Okay, the main part that I worry about on feet is the white line. Okay, the sole can be a little thin, all right, as long as you got a nice good tight white line connected to that wall, you know. Well, you want to make sure you have a tight connection in here. That's what I worry about more than anything if I plan on removing a little bit of sole. You know, you have a good foot there started. And I think that it could be something that you could try, that you could thin down the sole in this area on the other side of this wall and see if it will release the side of this foot. Because this can't go anywhere if that side doesn't do something, you know, because it's being pushed out. It's not only being pushed forward and out here, but now it's also, I think, bound with the other side as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of what I think, you know. And but here's the deal: I can always be in error. All right.
Well, I think it's what I'm feeling. I think Ageliki has also said that that's what she's seeing, that the medial side, I mean, just looking at these pictures, we can see the medial side is worse off than the lateral in terms of binding, being run forward, etc. It's a much smaller capsule. So there's no harm in a micro manner to try and see what I can release from that medial side.
Yeah, I
and
think
it makes sense that if the medial side is stuck and bound, that it's going to hold, you know, it's going to limit the lateral side as well in terms of what can happen to the foot. And I felt that for a while now, that this foot, it's just not moving enough. It's not changing enough. It's sort of stagnating a little.
Yeah. See, I think that's great. She pointed out that medial side like that, because it made me start thinking in that direction too. See, this is why we need the input from everybody here. See, if we see different things, and then to hash it out, you know what I mean? Because we will come to, we may come to a consensus and it'll be wrong, or we may have a disagreement or whatever. But what we're doing as we go through this is we are seeing and incorporating more knowledge and ideas into this to try and understand what's happening, the reality, because we can't fix it if we don't know the reality of what's going on. See?
You know, Linda, I am always thinking of the inner foot, always. So whenever I trim a horse, I try to imagine how this would be better, in what kind of shoe he would be better. And the fact is that when you imagine the inner foot, you can model the outer foot, the capsule. So if you start from the inner foot, you don't mind about so much about the capsule.
The outer foot. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
This is the way I always work with hoofs. I remember always what you have said. We have to acquaint to gain a X-ray vision. So maybe some horses look nice on their capsules, but it's not the correct one.
Yeah. Well,
I always keep this in mind.
Yeah, and you're reminding me, because even though I say and I've seen some of this stuff and stuff like that, I got to be brought back and reminded of that. And what you said right there, that really brings me back to that as well. You know, you don't pay as much attention to what's on the outer as what is going on in that inner foot. That's great. Sorry.
Yes, this is the way you taught me to think.
So now you're coming back at me and telling me you got to start thinking that way again.
No, sometimes, you know, you have to be, I'm way lower than you.
No, not even.
Yes, yes, yes,
Even a
I am.
little
And
bit.
I know why. Because you have a deep knowledge, and your deep knowledge is something that I don't have yet. So, but I remember the first how we started, and you kept saying, look at the inner foot. And what if the inner foot is totally different from what we are looking at now?
Yeah.
That's lovely, Angelica.
So this is the why sometimes I make things out of my imagination on the hoofs. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But I try.
Yeah, well, you're doing great.
On my poor Benenitra, of course.
Oh, you've done such a great job with her.
I
And
was about to say, Benanitra is in the best place she's probably ever been with her hooves, all due to your love and attention, Angelica.
Yes, but you know, we had an accident lately with Benenitra.
What happened?
My friend came to help me to trim her, and her knife was slipped, and we made a hole on her sole. Anyway,
well, it's better than a tendon or a leg.
Yeah.
So the hoof went into the flesh, let's say. Anyway, I think it will be okay.
Well, she'll be all right. I healed up.
Yeah.
They heal up. She'll be all right.
Yes, I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
It was a mistake. Well, sorry,
it happens.
But
it happens. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Stuff happens, and and
Yes.
it happens. You know.
Yeah.
But if we don't do nothing, it happens worse.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, but this was really very big, very, very ugly, because she bleed out, and
yeah,
I got kind of hysterical.
I bet.
Same, I get
now,
it.
where did she get cut again? The knife slipped?
Well, on her toe. I can send you a photo.
In the toe? Okay.
No,
we won't show it, but yeah. Well,
it wasn't in the it was in the heel quarters.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, I'm going to tell you here, and this is what they say: a little bit of blood goes a long way. Okay.
Well,
and a little bit can look like a lot. All right. And so, you know, it happens, and that's why. Here's another thing. Okay. I don't know about where you're at, but here they have this stuff called Wonder Dust. Anybody ever seen that? It's for putting on wounds.
I put some antibiotic spray and some other things.
Well, as far as a blood stopper, see, you can get blood stop powder. Not that you ever plan on trimming anything down to blood, but it's good to have things on occasion. You can slip. Like when these frogs are super hard, you know, and you're pulling and, you know, and then it just gives and whomp, you know. Mostly I've cut myself way more than I've ever cut a horse. But so you want to have certain things on hand. Wonder Dust is also a blood coagulant, but you can also get a stuff at the co-op and the farm stores called blood stop powder. You know,
we don't have it. I never heard of it. In Greece, we don't have it.
Yeah, it's just around here because but it's a powder that you can put on stuff and it'll help it coagulate and stop bleeding.
Well,
just so you know.
I know about the bandage that stops blood.
Yeah.
Never a powder.
Yeah.
I will ask around if somebody knows.
Yeah, I'm sure the vets have it. bloodstock powder.
No, they don't.
Hmm.
Because I would have heard of it if they did.
Well, not necessarily, because it's not something you necessarily use. Just like you didn't hear of it, and I just spoke about it. Okay, but I guarantee you, a veterinarian will absolutely have bloodstock powder. Because, like, when they go to
tomorrow, I will ask about it.
Like when they go to dehorn a cow. Okay, well, you can sear it. They can sear it with the hot iron so they don't bleed. But they a lot of times also use bloodstock powder.
We don't do these things here in Greece. We have very, very, very little cows anyway.
Yeah,
but
what a shame.
I've sent you the photos of the disaster we did.
Okay, I'll look at them later and stuff. Okay, so another subject I want to get on you with about this foot, and I'll show you on my foot, is that you're going to have to trim these bars down more. Or now you're at a place where you can do that because these bulbs that are curled in here, okay, these bulbs are never going to be able to release. Okay, now you're getting the frog down, which is good. And you want to make sure that you're trimming out a central sulcus here. You want to press with your finger in here and figure out how much frog padding you got. Figure out if it's a little thicker in here than what you need it to be, because this frog is going to have to release in order to release these bulbs so that they will come out like this and release your cartilages above. Okay, so your bars, the bars also, see, we didn't talk about that, how the bars get bent up into the foot, okay, and pressed forward. They get pressed forward. So then they grow bar from that pressed forward position. And so they will hold your heels right here for eternity. Okay, so I'll show you on my bars. Okay, I guarantee you, see, once I started following this mapping instead of this mapping, see the difference? There's quite a bit of difference there. A little bit's a lot on these feet. And so once I changed the mapping, the back of my feet started expanding more because all of this is overgrowth. Look at there, see the crack? That's a dirt line. So this is distorted, overgrown bar, but even the way we trim them like this, we are trimming a little more than you normally would if the foot was perfect. Okay, and that is to set a new, slightly new boundary so that this heel can uncurl and move. This heel has to be able to uncurl and move. That whole bar has to be able to move back so that this frog that's been pushed up and these bulbs that have been put in here can pull back. See,
and Linda, what is the risk of if I took that bar, just looking on the left-hand side there, if I took that further down and down, I'm using the point of my knife, so I'm not taking sole, I'm just pulling off the top, cutting off the top of the bar at a flat angle. What, are you going to, because that's going in quite low, are you going to would she bleed, is my question.
No, not if you stay out of the sole. Okay. See now, if you want, you can bring this over a little more and just come down to right here. You see that, you see that whole chunk there?
Yeah.
That's excess bar that really isn't needed there. And get out from under the dirt line. And so your bar will wind up being kind of like this instead. See, that's not really as much as you think.
Okay, I see
it. Okay, and then see this lump chunk here?
Yes.
Okay, this has to be taken out.
Okay.
That right there. Okay, and then just the edge of this brought over this way.
I can see.
Okay. Yeah, so that your bar really is going to be about like that. See, that's not a lot, but just these chunks here. This just hold everything right there. So anyway.
And then the combination of that and that sole buildup in the medial toe, etc., etc., kind of results in it not being able to move.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. I just want to see something here. So I'm just looking, trying to figure something out. I don't know. Anyway. Alrighty then. Other than that, looking good. You're moving right along. And good luck.
Well, thank you, Linda, very much, and to everyone for the time and the comments. And I feel a lot more confident to carry on and try these few things in little bits. And I will let you all know on the page of any improvements. But really, Linda, thank you so much for all your time. I am so grateful.
Well,
I wouldn't have even known where to start if it wasn't for you and Tact. I really wouldn't have. And my horse would probably be completely lame by now on this stretch.
You know, well, thank you for sharing with them. Thank you for getting ideas and sharing them back and things like that. And, you know, when you people get ideas and thoughts, everybody needs kind of get in there civilly, and we stand our ground, but we keep hashing it out till we kind of are seeing some different things and some answers and things we might not have seen or thought about before. So see how it all works together. We help each other.
Yeah, I think you only find like truth and revelations and things through discussion and through like, you know, just sharing what each other are seeing in reality and in actual terms in dealing with the feet. It's one thing to look at pictures and but then, you know, sometimes something comes across your way, you go, well, I've done all that and it hasn't worked. So now I need to maybe look, could there be something else causing this?
Something else going on? Yeah.
Or, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And definitely, like I said, when I did my horse, I was working on this side, working. And then I came to realize that, well, look at, you know, for years I was looking at this side, wondering why it was so compressed.
Yeah.
You know, I did not realize that when all this pulled over, it pulled this side this way and compressed that sole in there. So maybe if you can get that thin down, it'll help things move a little bit, you know. But again, you know, if you say thin it down and the next day you go out there and she's kind of ouchy, you know, that would just stand to reason, because if you loosen up something that's binding and holding that foot, well, let's say this wall pulls out a little bit, well, it's attached to a foot in there, you know, so it's going to move everything, you know. So, you know, but this isn't something, when we do something, if a horse happens to get tender or whatever, you know, we don't expect this every single time we trim or for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. But to me, it just stands to reason that on occasion this could happen. Okay. So, you know, anymore, I can about do anything to my horse's feet other than trim the heels out, and he just walks away, you know. So because I got lots of sole, a lot of this stuff like we're looking at here has gotten straightened out. He's just doing great. So why don't we take, well, it's 3 o'clock, so we've been going what is that, 2.5 hours? 11:30
must be longer. You started
12:30 1:30 2:30. Is that 4 hours?
3.5 hours, I think.
Oh my goodness. So to end, I'm just okay. So did everybody watch that video, little video I did of why the sole is concave? why they think, okay, see, we were going to get into the soul today, but I think I'm going to do a special deal on that where we just talk about the soul, and the history of why they think the soul is concave, how they trim to make the soul concave when it's not, and how it compromises the whole foot. But because they've been holding it together with iron and nails, they're adding away the stability they've removed, and so it's very deceptive that eventually they trim these horses into laminitis for centuries. So all this begins with the soul. The soul is the foundation, and we should absolutely know the anatomy of the soul. So I think I'm going to do a special hoof chat on that this week, because we already been sitting here forever. And that's okay, because I do that anyway, right? So no matter what. So Megan, I didn't want you to think that it was because we focused on your one foot, because I never have any problem with that. All right. But okay, I just want to make sure that people know that however long it takes, whatever we do, whatever we discuss, it's okay. I want people to feel comfortable that we will just do whatever it takes to help somebody, and to help, because whenever we're helping somebody else, we're helping ourselves as well. And here's the thing, if I did not have a venue to be able to share, like starting with YouTube, I would not have come to understand what I understand today, because as we're having these discussions, as you're able to share, you learn. See, that's what true learning is. And it's like these one-room schoolhouses they used to have, where you had 8th graders that were English and Greek scholars practically. The way it worked was the older kids learned, and then they helped teach the younger kids. And that's what got these people educated, to understand their subject and to be knowledgeable, not like today, where they're dumbing down everybody in the schools. So might have more technology, but we don't have better education. So, you all being able to share, anytime you get a chance, share something, write something, do a video, do something. It doesn't matter what it is, something about the foot, doing something, share it with somebody else, because you learn, the more you do that, the more you learn. It's a learning principle called the 3 R's. Receive it, retain it, release it. Get it? You receive the knowledge, you retain it, then you speak it forth. And in that way, this is how you grow. Okay. All right. So we're going to end there today. And I'm going to do a special specifically on the soul. The problem is that when you do the soul, when you find out how these veterinarians, the father of equine anatomy, Philip Lafosse, okay, how he came to some wrong conclusions, how that got instituted in the vet school, and how then they just built on that wrong conclusion, because when you wrongly understand the soul, well, then you got to wrongly understand the wall. All right. And everything else. So, and then when things aren't working out because you're wrong understanding, you got to add some more wrong understanding on that. Like, what's the reason all these horses are lame? And that's what Bracy Clark found out in his preface, in his book, Hippodonamia. Okay, what is it? The True Laws and Economy of the Equine Foot. He says in the very first part of that book, I came to realize after so many years that the excuse, he didn't call it an excuse, reason, that horses' heels were contracted, that was given by the Smith, the farriers, what he says was not real. See, he heard it, he was taught it, and then he repeated it to everybody else. Oh yeah, well, the reason this horse's feet like this, well, it's genetic. Or, oh well, you know, because he stands around in a stall, or because of this. And so Bracy Clark came to realize, no, it was because of what was believed in the guy's head that he practiced on the foot that made the heels contract. That is the conclusion he came to. So, you know, after 10 years or more of practicing the art of shoeing himself, plus being one of the first veterinarians in England. See, when the first vet school opened up, I think it was 1793, had 4 students, and he was one of them. So there you go. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to keep going on and on, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a full on everything I can think of and know, and show you proof and evidence, both from the secular sources, you know, the vet schools, everything, what they think, where it came from, and what they think about the soul and the anatomy of the soul, and show you how it is completely 100% in error from multiple dissections showing the soul corium. Okay, which the soul corium grows the soul, so it's going to show us the shape of the soul. And you know, but here's the thing. When you don't know nothing to begin with, and then you are introduced to a subject by someone you trust, like a professor, then since you didn't know the subject to begin with, what they introduce you to in your education is how you will see it from then on, unless you get into a position where something else pops up that kind of contradicts what you've been taught. See? And so this is why this error has been passed on from one generation to the next for 250 years, 250, 60, 70, almost 280 years. Error in anatomy on a simple thing like a horse's foot. There you go. All right, well, I'll let everybody go today. And
thank you so much, Linda.
Hey, have a great day. Have a great week, everybody. And I'm going to get this special thing going on the soul, and we'll do even do a couple dissections in it, because Holly Burns, I got some feet sitting out here in a cooler for quite a while now, and I need to take them apart. So maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll just have a mini webinar and stuff, if you'd be interested in participating or something like that. So either way, it'll be recorded. So, all right, well, everybody have a great week, and we'll be chatting with you.
Thanks so much, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
I can tell some people are up late. Over there in Europe. Okay,
Yeah.
how to get out of here. Okay, stop share and end meeting for all.